I'll do my very best to get this job that I so crave.
Do you really think they both so craved this belt? I do. I do. Let's get into it. Welcome to Fanzone Debate. Welcome to Mayhem at the Multiplex. We made the executive decision today that this is not going to be the first video of the event. I'm so excited. Oh my God. I actually know where this is going in the order. Holy shit. Welcome to video 2. We're here for Fanzone Debate. Cody Newberry, champion, won his belt off of longtime champion Kirk Kowalkowski earlier this year. At the beginning of the year after beating Koho, then played Kirk, won his belt in the rematch, I should say. It was a rematch against Kirk. And then we had a long tournament. It was a long road to get here. Brian and Mark are here. They have been mainstays, staples of helping me get this done. Thank you, gentlemen, and welcome to the title match. In that tournament, we saw Cameron Holtzman make his way through in a lot of really great matches. He's here today, the number 3 seed of the tournament, beat Barr in round 1. Then in round 2 went up against Nazario, who's challenged for belts before here. He went up against Jacoby, who is a former champion of the league, and then eventually up against Boatman in the number 1 contender match. None of those were weird at all, and now he's here to play Cody. I've talked too much. Brian, why don't you kick us off? What do you think about the match?
Yeah, finally getting to this point, getting to the title match. I'm not quite sure how we got here. We have 2 people who clearly can't debate and are very timid about giving their opinions in this community. So I expect long terms of silence.
Yeah, that's fair. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, sure. You know, I expect it. I don't know how. There's going to be like no sound. Everybody's going to turn up the volume on this and like, man, there's like no match playing. It's going to be really weird since the second video and the whatever the hell this thing's called now. But you know, it's whatever.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, and it has been a long road to get here, as Brian said. Literally, my child was conceived and born in the time of doing this tournament. That's not true, but it was a long time. So let's get into it. We're going to start. We're going to talk very quick to our competitors. The number 3 seed of the tournament, Cameron. You made your way through the tournament. Did you think you would get here? Did you hope? Did you have a dream? Tell me about it.
Did I hope I would get here? Absolutely. I feel like you don't necessarily play this without at least like a little bit of hope until you get beaten into the ground and you lose all of it. Did I think I would get here? Not necessarily. There were a lot of points even in the middle of matches where I was like, ah, shit, I'm not going to win, am I? But we managed to make it out. Do I have a dream? I don't think I can appropriate those words from a certain historical figure.
It's fair. Cameron, good luck in the match today. We're going to bring in the champion, Mr. Newberry. Cody, welcome to the title match. First defense. Tell me about it. How are you feeling?
Well, it was a tournament filled with a bunch of people that didn't want to be in the tournament and didn't want to prep and didn't want to play and hope they didn't win each match. And then we got one of those here tonight. So I've been sitting back wanting to play, waiting to play. Hopefully we play. I did prep. I did do work, and I'm hoping it comes out the right side. So, yeah, I'm excited. I don't believe a champion is, you know, anything if you don't defend. So I need to defend it at least once to, you know, be satisfied. So I have to win tonight. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get into it. Here's how it's going to work. There are 5 prep questions because this is a title match. There are 5 questions based off of categories that the players drafted. And Brian, Mark, Kirk, and I gave questions to the players. Based on those categories, they're going to debate them tonight before our very souls. So they're each going to get a 1-minute opening, followed by a 5-minute freeform, followed by a 1-minute closing. At the end of the debate, Brian, Mark, and I will write on our handy-dandy boards who we think won that question. 2 out of 3 votes wins you a point. And because this is a title match, the first person to 4 points wins the match. So what that means is if we are in a 3-2 situation after the 5 prep questions. We will move on to a bonus question. There will be 2 bonus questions prepared should we need them. And it's happened more than I care to admit. So we will get into it unless there's any questions from the competitors.
Nope. Negative.
All right, let's do this thing. All right, we're going to kick this off with question 1. This was drafted by Cody. I should probably get my stopwatch out. The question is in the category of Star Wars. And the question is, what is the coolest action scene in a pre-2017 Star Wars film? So because Cody drafted this, he gets to go first. Cody, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
So cool can be defined a bunch of different ways. What I would describe it as, if you're in the theater or you're watching a movie and you're like, holy crap, what did I just watch? That was awesome. Want to tell people about it. Do it. Star Wars has a lot of those moments, or a lot of opportunity for those moments, but none of them ever pay out. The one I chose, it was easy with a bullet. It's Vader entering the hallway in Rogue One. Siths get to do a whole bunch. He slaughtered children and everything, but nothing's ever shown on screen. And he goes complete ham with a lightsaber and a bunch of guards shooting at him, and nothing and they're just handing off a card, and all he is slicing through everybody. And the music and the lighting and everything adds to how awesome that was. Even if you don't like Rogue One, it's the one scene that people talk about from Star Wars. It's the one scene that people continue to talk about and wish they would go deeper into. So, yep, that's my answer.
Okay, ending about 5 seconds early. We'll bring in Mr. Holtzman. Cameron, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
So I think when it comes to Star Wars, when we see something cool, we want to see something that does something new, something that we haven't seen before, and something that raises the stakes on what an action scene in Star Wars can even be. And that's why I chose the Duel of the Fates from the Phantom Menace, where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn fight against Darth Maul. This is the first time in the Star Wars series, and the first time and the only time for a long time that we see a lightsaber battle involving more than just one person. And we see the 2-on-1. We get that cool reveal of the double lightsaber from Darth Maul. We get all these cool locations. We get this great fight choreography. We get these long takes. We get these really, really interesting visuals using light, shadow, location, different angles, different perspectives. And it all culminates into this really well-made and really interesting, really cool action sequence where the score plays behind it. You get this intense nature to it. You get these cool things that we haven't seen before or since in the Star Wars universe. And it makes something that we find really, really interesting and that we really, really care about from the moment it starts to the moment it ends. It goes through consistently raising the stakes, it being incredible, and being something that we cannot help but keep watching.
All right. Darth Vader hallway scene, Duel of the Fates. 5-minute freeform when one of you starts talking. I will throw up the 1 minute when the 1 minute comes. And if any of you talk for too long and I decide that I hate you, I will throw up the let's move on. So don't make me hate you. 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
You are muted, Cody.
This is a great start. I don't know if you've actually watched Duel of Fates, because what you're describing is, yes, it happens throughout that, but a lot of it doesn't happen. The music starts and the music fades as quick as it does. The three fight for a total of 20 seconds. It's normally him kicking Obi-Wan into a different direction, and then Qui-Gon and his old self trying to move a saber back and forth. And then we spend about 40 seconds separated from all of them behind red walls while Obi-Wan thinks. That's not cool. That's not interesting. That was 1999, and that was a cool time for Star Wars to be around because we never saw a double-bladed lightsaber. But at this point in time, it's been done in better movies, and 3 people doesn't make a lightsaber fight any more interesting.
See, the thing is, I think that the separation of them in the doors actually is a really interesting thing, because you have this moment where they're all sitting there thinking. Qui-Gon kind of just zones in. He has this moment, and the moment that is up, he takes his opportunity, he strikes, Obi-Wan runs in, and it picks up going even faster pace than it was before. You have this score playing throughout, you have these great visuals. The problem with the Vader hallway scene in Rogue One is that it fully undercuts the entirety of the movie it's in. This movie about these people who are not force sensitive. This movie about these people who do not have these powers, these lightsabers, all that stuff. And it destroys that world and it changes exactly what the movie is into this just massacre where there's nothing interesting about it. There's nothing even or equal about it. No fighting. It's just a bunch of people dying. There's nothing.
So when you pick up a scene, you don't have to care about what the movie is. It's a cool scene. If there's a great action scene in the thing, that can be cool in a crap movie that undercuts. I'm okay with that. This thing is a cool scene because Vader actually enters and gets to do what Vader is. Vader in the Star Wars series is described as this person a lot, but you never get to see it in action. And you get to see the ruthlessness of Vader in action. That's cool for every Star Wars fan. And you're saying this moment like he's meditating and thinking about his next moves. It takes 12 seconds for that door to drop and him to get a saber through his stomach. That's how quick that ends. And then you get Obi-Wan dangling from the thing and him hitting back and forth. And gosh, can Ray Park kick one more Obi-Wan one more time in the face? If he's a Jedi, he can't see a kick coming to save his life in this entire fight, because every time Obi-Wan gets taken down, it's because of a kick. Not a lightsaber punch, not anything, not even a force push. He kicks him in the mouth every time. It's not a cool fight scene. Mustafar itself is a better fight scene. Yes, there's only 2, but it actually looks like they're fighting for a long period of time. Every time they get 3 people fighting, they have to see, I need one of these guys to get out of the space as fast as possible, and that's what they do every time. Obi-Wan disappears all the time during the fight.
See, the thing is, Obi-Wan has a reason to disappear in the fight. He is still learning. He is still narratively someone who doesn't fully know what he's doing and is being thrust into this position near the end where he has to take on the mantle of this Jedi. And the fight narratively fulfills that with the ending where Qui-Gon is gone and he not only picks up the mantle of this Jedi who has to fight Darth Maul, but literally does it by picking up Qui-Gon's lightsaber and being the one to run him in. In terms of the kicking and the fighting and not just being taken down by a lightsaber, I think that makes it more interesting. We have this choreography and these fighting that uses things other than just 2 guys hitting their lightsabers like we had in the original trilogy, where it's really boring just hitting light sticks with light sticks with light sticks. Vader's hallway is just a massacre. That is all it is. It is guys who can do nothing.
That's fucking awesome.
Taken down by a guy who can do everything. That is not cool. That is narratively and visually uninteresting because there's no stakes, because you know they can't win.
Perfect. Do you like John Wick at all? If you like John Wick, it's the same premise. He kills and shoots and murders everybody, but everybody's fucking awesome and thinks it's great and cool and want to watch more of it. That's the problem. It's a cool scene. It doesn't have to set character expectations. It doesn't have to build the story arc that we're all looking for. It's a cool scene. The coolest. And that's what we're doing. You're telling me to be excited about Obi-Wan being on another platform by another fight. You know what's cool? If they fight nonstop for the full 5 minutes and it's a back and forth battle. No, you're describing it as 3 people fighting. It's 2 people fighting until one dies and then the other one gets to fight. That's not cool. Vader in that hallway, when the light goes out, the breathing starts, the saber comes out, and everybody is screaming and firing, and he holds that guy up against the roof and slices through. I don't know what you want in Star Wars, but I wish there was a John Wick style of Vader doing that all across the galaxy, because that was awesome.
See, the thing is, in terms of the John Wick argument, the thing that makes John Wick great is the fact that he oftentimes is getting the shit kicked out of him, but keeps going. He is not just massacring all these dudes. He's getting thrown nearly to his death, thrown down a flight of stairs, being shot, being put in all these situations. The fight has stakes and evenness, and that's what makes it cool.
All right, Cameron, you get to close first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
The thing that makes the Duel of the Fates coolest is the fact that it's actually doing something new and it's actually doing something interesting, but also there are stakes. There are things that can happen. There are things that can change, and it makes it more interesting, more cool to watch. We get to see the tide turn back and forth. It is not just a one-sided massacre. You get the music building. You get the locations. You get these long takes of all 3 of them fighting like they are in front of the giant plasma light pillar in these beautiful locations, and they are cloaked in shadow, and you see nothing but just their silhouettes hitting each other with lightsabers. You get these cool fight choreography moments with the actual physical fighting alongside the force abilities and alongside the lightsaber fights. It adds in all of these new layers. It adds in these new things that we've never seen before or since. We have yet to see a double-bladed lightsaber, and that's the coolest shit that everybody wanted when they saw that movie. It was widely agreed upon to be one of the most amazing things people had seen. The problem with the Vader hallway scene is that it undercuts the movie it is in. It is not cool because, frankly, it's one-sided. There is no drama, no tension, no stakes, and it does not pay it off well.
Time. All right. Cody, we're going to move over to you for your 1 minute closing when you start talking.
The reason why the double bladed has never been brought back because it doesn't work in fight choreography with two other people. That's the whole point of it. They can't do it. They struggle through it, and they have to separate these guys as much as possible. That does not make that cool. That does not make that interesting. And no one's ever in peril besides when he ends up dying at the end, when they're stuck between a red wall and he doesn't get a chance to fight with him. Vader in the hallway, it doesn't have to undercut the movie. It doesn't have to do anything. They're delivering the plans, and the last line of defense was Vader. And if he could have got to it, it would have changed the direction of them, and the movies wouldn't have happened. Vader in that hallway in the pitch black, seeing his breathing and walking down that hallway, running roughshod off everybody is awesome. Same reason when John Wick enters a house and takes out everybody. We're excited. Yeah, he gets his ass kicked from time. Vader gets his ass kicked in the series too. It happens. But I'm telling you, in that hallway scene, we never get to see a Sith Lord go and take care of try to accomplish a job with his saber the way that is. It's the coolest in Star Wars and hasn't been topped.
Time. Okay. We are going to bring in the judges. And then we'll bring back in the players. Oh, okay. Well, Mark, that was strange. Okay. what you doing there, Mark? All right. All right. I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Good first debate to kick it off. Great job, guys. If this is how it's going to go all night, I think we're in for a good one. I went with Cody. I thought that both were good picks. And I think that Cody just did a better job of explaining why his scene was cool. Cameron talked a lot about why his scene was interesting, thematically interesting, and the stuff that he did point out that was cool, I thought Cody did a good job of taking down. And then Cameron's attacks on Cody were pretty much the same type of thing, where he was talking about like it doesn't work because it's one-sided, and Cody was able to say like pretty definitively, at least convince me, like why it actually was cool despite it being a one-sided fight. So I went with Cody. Brian, where are you going and why?
I was not expecting so much John Wick conversation.
I love John Wick, so I'm there for it.
Yeah, I think that Cameron started out pretty good. He's talking about how, his was, something new you hadn't seen, something interesting, it's the first time in the 3-person lightsaber battle, things like that. I thought Cody countered that pretty well, though, by saying that it's been done, better ever since. It might have been, really cool at the time, but it's been done so many better times since then in other films. And as far as Cameron was attacking Cody's, talking about how, it's undercut the film, things like that. But Cody's like, it doesn't need to worry about undercutting the film. We were just talking about a cool action scene. So I just voted Cody.
All right. Mark, your vote doesn't count, but where would you have gone and why?
Yeah, I also did go with Cody. I kind of feel like, at least for me, Cody's defense, I think, was pretty solid all the way through of kind of everything Cameron was throwing at him, at least on his scene. I think the only thing he didn't cut down right away was the stakes, but then he covered that in his closing about how, we don't get the original trilogy if the rebels don't succeed in that moment, which add stakes to that moment. So I think he kind of just slashed every bit of Cameron's argument of what he threw at him.
All right. So Cody is up 1-0. We are going to move on to the next category, which was drafted by Cameron. It is in the category of musicals. And the question is, which performance in a 21st century musical is the most underrated? So Cameron, you get to kick this one off. You have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
I think for something to be underrated, it needs to be something that is incredibly good while also not being talked about at all. And I picked Max Harwood in the film Everybody's Talking About Jamie. This performance is in a beautiful film that nobody saw. And even the people who saw this film were not talking about his performance and allowed him to be overshadowed by performances like Richard E. Grant because he is a bigger name. But Max Harwood is doing so much incredible work in this performance. He is able to play all of these different aspects of this young high school boy who dreams of becoming a drag queen, able to take the shy teenager, the fun party kid, the broken son of a father who doesn't want him, and this all-powerful drag queen who, to quote the film, is meant to be feared and does them all beautifully. He has amazing singing in his voice. He has these beautiful emotional moments. The entire performance of the song Wall in My Head is this great emotional crux of the film that happens so early on, and he's able to keep going and elevate the film even upon that. It is a great performance that nobody mentions either in or out of the context of the film, and that's underrated.
Time. All right. Good job, Cameron. Oh, okay. Hi, Ellie. Cody, you get to open your argument 1 minute when you start talking.
I think it's really important to toe the line between underrated versus underseen, and I think that's what my opponent's trying to do today. My film, 2005, released by a director, Christopher Columbus, had mass publication, all the stuff about it. Rent's a very popular musical. I love the movie. A few people love the movie, but no one talks about Jesse Lee Martin from this movie. No one talks about Rent in a positive way ever, unless you're a theater kid that says, oh, I Cover You reprise is a great musical. He is by far the heart and soul of this entire movie. He carries the emotional elements all throughout the film. He has one of the best songs of all time with I Will Cover You, and one of the most heartbreaking songs when he reprises that after Angel passes away. It is by far a performance that should have skyrocketed him, but instead everybody talks about everybody else in this movie or how much they dislike Rent when Rent's a great musical. That's my time.
Just Maggie telling our daughter to shut the fuck up in the background. I love it. I love it. All right, guys. 5 minutes of free form when one of you starts talking.
Go ahead.
So I think the thing with Jesse L. Martin's performance is that he gets a lot of credit for being really good in that performance, but he also didn't have to work that hard to do it in the movie. He had years on Broadway to perfect an even better version of that performance, got praise and awards for that performance. And it is a very well-loved performance, just not in the context of that film. Max Harwood is taking on an award-winning role from another actor, doing it at such a young age, and is able to create this fully realized character with all these different aspects of him, and nobody talks about him, and he gets overshadowed by performances in his own movie from a movie that more people didn't even see.
Well, blame your publication that didn't release the movie to a wider audience. Listen, it was from 2021. It hasn't found its voice. And I like where you did the thing. Max got underseen by persons like Richard E. Grant that is because he's a bigger actor. No, he's by far the better actor in this movie and who you should have picked it. Because guess what? I can pull the entire audience and say, hey, do you guys know Richard E. Grant was in a movie called Everybody Talking About Jamie and steals every damn scene from the block of wood that Max is? Max does nothing interesting throughout this entire film. His singing is okay because overall it's a musical, should be okay. But even when he is in drag, he is boring. And that's a problem. Every time Richard E. Grant shows up on scene, I want Richard E. Grant to stay on screen. And can we just switch the story? This has got the word like the Good Dinosaur complex. I don't want to care about the Good Dinosaur. I care about his brothers and sisters. He steals every scene as soon as he enters that shop. And Jesse Lee Martin doesn't get discredited for playing a role on Broadway and carrying it over to the big film. This is Melee. This is Fanzone. I get to talk about the movie, and he doesn't get any credit for what he does. Talks about Idina Menzel. These characters are trash. Why don't they pay their rent? Blah, blah, blah. AIDS. All this stuff that they throw at this movie that says no one cares about it. But Jesse Lee Martin is the one person that no one talks about, still to this day.
See, but the thing is, I think a lot of the performances in that movie that you're citing to are talked about in a negative context. No one enjoys watching and sitting there watching Idina Menzel mooing at the audience. No one enjoys watching Anthony Rapp do his whole, like, oh, I'm an awkward filmmaker who has no social skills shtick. No one enjoys watching Rosario Dawson just, like, shake it while pretending to find a candle so she can get her cocaine. Like, Jesse L. Martin is given the emotional crux of that movie, and he handles it well. But it's easy to be considered good in that movie when you are surrounded by bad performances and you're given the only real substance within that movie. Max Harwood has emotion. He sheds real tears. He does an incredible vocal work that you are underselling because he is a young teenage male doing vocal ranges that most professional Broadway singers wish they could handle and absolutely nailing it in high heels while he's doing it.
So do I give him credit because he's 16? I don't care. Like, I don't care. That doesn't make it a better or underrated performance. And guess what? You're right. What you just mentioned, what everybody mentions from Rent. That's why Jesse Lee Martin's the thing, because no one even talks about Jesse, because he is the best version of that. He's the best from that movie, and still no one talks about it. No one says anything about it. Or you show them a scene of I Will Cover You reprise when Angel passes away and he's singing at the funeral, and if you have a dry on the crowd, that's insane. He is giving an insane performance, yet no one talks about him. He's never got a career from this. Max Hardwick does not do anything groundbreaking, original, anything besides dress and drag. But guess what? Richard E. Grant in the same movie is in drag and killing it. Every scene. That's the queen we should have been watching this entire time. That's the queen that this movie should have been. Everybody should have been talking about Richard E. Grant. And how you don't pick Richard E. Grant is mind-boggling, because that's underrated. No one even talked about him after the movie.
The thing is, people were talking about him. If you look at the professional critics' reviews, Richard E. Grant is the performance that everyone was talking about in that movie. You keep saying you want to see Richard E. Grant in drag and all of these different things. Richard E. Grant doesn't do a single scene in drag. The big drag queen moment for his character and his performance is done by a different actor in a flashback music video type scene.
No, he is in drag.
When?
He's in the dressing room getting her ready, and he's in complete drag. Have you seen your movie? Because I have.
He is not performing drag at any point. He may.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
He is a man in a wig. He's not performing drag. He's not being a full drag queen.
He's in a full ball gown. What's the definition of drag? Because I'm telling you, full makeup, full drag, full hair, everything, and he's the queen on the stage. What are we talking about? I've seen the movie.
He's never performing in drag. He might wear it as an actor, but as a character in the film, he is not. But regardless, moving on from that, you are underselling Max Harwood. Yes, he is young, and does he deserve a ton of credit for that? Who knows? But he is bringing emotional resonance. He is bringing the pain of being a father unloved by a child, or a child unloved by a father. He's bringing the shy awkwardness of being a teenager, the power of being a drag queen, and combining it all into one great performance.
Time. Okay, Cody, you get to kick us off first. For your closing, you have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
I'm not sure if Cam saw his own movie, because there is a full scene of Richard E. Grant in drag, and he is coaching Max to take on and be fearless and do this whole thing, because he's the drag queen from the past that has done that. He is showing everything. He's the underrated performance, because I didn't know Richard E. Grant was in this movie doing drag. That's crazy. For Max Hardwick, he has no emotion. When he's talking, when nothing, there's no facial expression. He doesn't do anything. That's why no one talked about him. They talked about Richard E. Grant. Moving on, Jesse Lee Martin is a character from Rent that, as Cam said, all these other characters, all these, Idina Menzel, everybody's in this movie and gets talked about so much more. But Jesse Lee Martin completely goes underrated. He should have been the one that everybody talked about this movie, should have praised him. His songs are the most singable. He's the heart and soul. He has the emotional arc through everything. When he loses, they spend so much time on the relationship with Rosario Dawson and Roger, when it's really Angel, and that's what they should have stuck with. It's a beautiful performance that no one talks about, and if that's not underrated, I don't know what is.
All right, we're gonna move over to Cameron. Cameron, you have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
I think that there are moments in Jesse L. Martin's performance that are great, like the I'll Cover You reprise, and like some of these funner moments with Angel, but there are also moments that are actively bad. Him pretending to be drunk, him pretending to have been beaten in an alleyway. He never successfully sells any of those things. But the things he does well, but it's not enough to make the performance incredible and underrated when people even like Roger Ebert himself praised Martin's performance in the film. Max Harwood is a young, new, up-and-comer on the scene. No one talked about him. People talked about Richard E. Grant, and sure, Richard E. Grant was good, but Max Harwood was the heart, the soul of that movie. You cannot tell me that he is boring and unemotional when he has tears streaming down his face while walking out on a soccer field just to confront his pain and his relationship with his father. You cannot tell me he is boring when he is having these big, flashy, bombastic moments, not just as a drag queen, but as the person he becomes in his school afterwards, being this new, brighter, more open and arrogant personality, and being able to be unlikable but still have us root for him. He is doing so much more than Martin is, and doing it better.
All right, let me bring in the judges. All right. You guys are backwards. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Mark, you get to kick us off on this one because your vote didn't count last time.
Yeah. Wow. This one's really hard. It was much harder than I thought it would be. And it's always tough trying to judge these questions when I have no frame of reference. I haven't seen either of these movies or either of these performances, kind of to go off what you guys are saying. And honestly, throughout the whole thing, I didn't know where I was going to go until closings, and I think at the end, Cam was able to take it in his closing, and kind of fired back kind of a lot of things that Cody was throwing at him at the very end there.
All right, I'll go next. This is tough, and underrated questions are tough, and we still give them out all the time. Like I think Kirk famously says, like it's hard to argue underrated. It's hard to argue these like things because how do you quantify something that's underrated? But I think that being said, I think I did struggle to find them talking about what was underrated. I think we heard a lot of what was good, what was best, who was better in their movie, who was bad in their movie, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, I went with, I don't know if you guys know this, but you know that Cody looks like Captain Crunch? I went with Captain Crunch's Crunch Newberries. You look like Captain Crunch. So dye that beard white and you got it, and put on the hat with the eyebrows on the hat. Anyway, I wanted to do Newberries somehow. Anyway, I think that Cody was able to argue the question more. So underrated is what I was listening for the whole time. I think Cam did a good job of like explaining why his character was really good in the movie. And I don't know, it was tough. I didn't get a lot of underrated, I felt personally. So I went with Cody. But Brian, you get to decide this one.
First of all those things that Cameron says nobody likes to watch in Rent, I like all those parts. So
I like Rent, yeah.
I'll just say I liked all that. That being said, even after that offense, I did go for Cameron. I think they're both good picks. I mean, one is obviously, I know Cody early on tried to argue that Cam's pick was more underseen than underrated, and that may be the case. And actually, that might have helped his case because, yes, we don't hear a lot of praise for it or anything like that. We have not heard a lot of praise for this performance, which, from what he's telling us, which is my only frame of reference, as I haven't seen that one, was a great performance that deserved to be seen more. Jesse L. Martin, I think Cody made a really good pitch of why his is underrated. But as Karen pointed out, there are a lot of reviews and critics that did single out and praise Jesse L. Martin. So had to give the tip to Cameron.
All right. So we are all tied up 1-1. We're going to move on to the next question. It is in the category of directors. This question was brought to us by one Captain Crunch. And the question is, I love you.
You're going to get beat at the end of this match.
The question, I love you. The question is, what is the funniest scene in a 96 to 2005 Farrelly Brothers movie? Oddly specific, but we do what we can here at Fanzone.
I wonder why.
So, Cody, you need to kick us off. You got 1 minute when you start talking.
Listen, funniest scene. Just remember that. And believe me, what me and Cam find funny, completely different opposites of the spectrum, and I know that. I went with the slam dunk for me. Still makes me laugh to this part. Remember the day I watched it, rewatched it today, and before, still laugh just as hard. I went with the Frankenbean scene from Something About Mary when Ben Stiller sips his whole junk up in his fly. And like Keith David, he's going to prom. He zips it all in there. Keith David walks in, like, how'd you get the bean above the Frank above the bean, the bean above the Frank? And the reactions, and then the police officer shows up, and then the firefighter shows up, and like getting him unstuck between it, and he's about to go to prom. It's one of the most awkward comedy, hilarious moments of all time. I just die every time when this scene happens. So yeah, Frank and Beans.
Time. All right. We're going to move over to Cameron. Cameron, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
I think it's very hard to argue what the funniest of anything is because, as Cody pointed out, comedy is very subjective and we find very different things to be funny. But the thing that I went with was the shooting of the cow scene from Me, Myself, and Irene. I think that this scene perfectly plays through dry humor. The characters don't in any way acknowledge the inherent humor, the ridiculousness, the insanity of their situation. They play it 100% straight, 100% real, up until that moment where Jim Carrey does his Jim Carreyisms and starts strangling it. But the situation keeps escalating, and they keep escalating just enough with it, where the cow is dead on the ground. They go to move it, and it starts moving. 1 bullet to the head. We got it. We did it. It starts moving again. More ridiculous. 3 bullets to the head. We got it. We did it. And it keeps going. And Jim Carrey plays it straight, does it all, and you just have Zellweger in the background kind of losing her mind, thinking this most insane thing. And the dynamic between those two makes it absolutely hilarious.
Time. All right. 5 minute of freeform when one of you starts talking.
So listen, I get it where if you find that funny, and I'm happy for you. Renee Zellweger forgot that she was in a Me, Myself, and Irene because she doesn't want to be there. You can clearly tell. Jim Carrey's past his like ridiculous things. Probably his body starts to hurt him. That cow scene, blank stare for me. I just don't get it. The shooting of the gun, the moving, they don't even react like in it. I know they're doing straight, and that's supposed to be the funny part, but there's no reaction, and even the strangle is very weird. Frank and Beans, when he zips his fly up in his junk, and Keith David goes and sits down on that toilet and says, "Let's let me look at it," and screams, and his wife screams, and the cop shows up, and the fire department. And then when that cop goes, "Listen, let's just take a deep breath. We're just going to back it out the driveway. And then we got a bleeder." And he's coming out on the thing. Tears. Tears. No man can ever experience what that went through, what pain would have been. It is nonstop funny because as an awkward shy, a teenage kid going through that experience and on his prom date, and yeah, it's hilarious.
See, so I think you put out there the thing that is my biggest problem with your scene, which is, as a man, watching this scene makes me violently uncomfortable and frankly a little scared for my life. If you sit there and you see, especially the moments in that scene where you see visually exactly what happened, you cannot for at least a moment sit there without that phantom, empathetic, sympathetic pain we all know and hate, and fear for your life, fear for the worst things in the world that could possibly happen to you. The problem with it is, on top of all that, you have these characters reacting, and there's just characters who are there for truly no reason. Like, oh, there's a cop at the window. Why is there a cop at the window? It's nonsensical. Why is there a firefighter? Did anyone call him, or is he just there? What is the point of any of this? And then I think the fact that it hard cuts right when you could get this insane reaction from him of, we saw the start, let's see the ending, and it cuts hard away to something else, I think denies us of what could be the funniest moment in that scene.
Okay, well, see, I don't think that you watched the scene because the cop shows up at the window and says, "Hey, we heard a lady screaming in here. We're seeing if everybody's okay." So the 911 was called, so they're all there. And I think that's the point because he already screams. And as a man and everybody else, we can all agree, we're all men on this call. How did he do it? How did he just keep zipping? Why is the zipper at the top? They ask all these questions that are great. They even have a part where Keith David's in there and goes, "Oh, she's a dental hygienist. She can come in." She's nobody. Like, there's nothing. The comedy just ensues. And that's the problem. Like, your scene, Renee Zellweger stands back and goes, "Oh my gosh, no, what are you doing?" And then he just firing a gun into a cow's head and the cow still moves. The thing is, I always think in a funny scene like, oh, that was meant to be funny. I want to know where the punchline is. If the punchline is when the cow's head moves, they missed the punchline by a large margin because that's not funny. When you're picking Me, Myself, and Irene, there are 6 to 7 scenes that you could have picked. You picked the shortest for your sake, so you didn't have to watch a lot of Farrelly Brothers. But yeah.
See, I think the problem with a lot of other me, myself, and Irene scenes is that many of them have aged incredibly poorly, despite them being maybe funny at the time. I think the thing is, Zellweger is doing exactly the reaction her character needs, where she's not doing this over-the-top, horrified, oh my god, this is horrific, where it gets like unrealistic, absolutely insane. It's just subtle and tame enough where she's in the background, she's like, oh my god, oh no, and then you have Carrie just strong arm turned away, bang, 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 and just doing his.
Why is that funny?
And the last minute lets him do the full Jim Carrey physical comedy thing of he goes down, he's doing his like crazy physicals, he's doing his voice, he's doing the strangulation of the cow, and it just gives you that physical Jim Carrey comedy, which is what we love Jim Carrey for.
See, even when you're talking, you can't describe why that is funny. Like, you're saying it, but you don't even believe it yourself. The thing is, when something about Mary, the most awkward night for most teenage guys is the night of prom. And to go through that, and he's looking out the window and he sees the birds and he sees his date getting dressed and he's now looked like the pervert weirdo and he zips his stuff up. Like, it's a shock value. I think my scene does not need, because when he unzips and the next thing is an automatic cut when he's on the stretcher, we got a bleeder. It's nonstop, and it's almost like a sketch comedy where people keep coming through a revolving door that just the firefighter goes, oh, you guys need to get down here, send everybody, bring a camera. Like, this is it's just mass hysteria, and it's hilarious in one of the most awkward points. That's why it's so funny. So the cow thing makes no sense to me. I still can't laugh.
I think the thing is, it's the way that it escalates, the way the joke keeps going, that makes it really, really funny.
All right, we are going to start with Cameron for closings. Cameron, you get 1 minute to close when you start talking.
I think the thing that makes the me, myself, and Irene scene really, really funny is the fact that you have this really over-the-top and ridiculous situation being played almost completely straight. You have this giant puppet animatronic type cow. You have these really weird cow noises, but all the characters interacting with it are playing it straight and letting it be this dry, dark humor that eventually boils over into the insanity that you know it can be. The problem with the There's Something About Mary sequence is, like I said, it is a deeply and objectively uncomfortable and terrifying sequence to watch if you are a man. You feel pain when you are watching it. You feel anxiety that something like that could happen to you in the future and you don't know what to do. It cuts away at the exact moment where it could reach its funniest possible potential and instead goes for just a single line and a guy lying on a stretcher instead of these big things that it seems like it's building to. You have these characters randomly coming in. You have these characters doing nothing really necessary to the scene in particular. And when it cuts and undercuts the ending of it, it kind of disservices everything leading up to it, whereas Irene builds.
All right, we're going to move over to Cody. Cody, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
He's talking about escalation in his scene, but mine is the ultimate escalation. It's everybody coming into a thing when a kid is in the most vulnerable and scary point of his life, because that'll happen, and the comedy just keeps ensuing because he's in pain, but everybody else thinks it's about her brother's yelling outside, Frank and Beans, the cops, everybody's showing up to see this thing, and like, yeah, it's pain. Guys have balls, and zipping them up would really hurt. But listen, I watch Jackass, and when they get kicked in the balls, I laugh just as hard. That doesn't stop me. That doesn't ruin the humor. The humor is this escalation that keeps going, and I disagree hardly. When he already screamed once, when they zip down, he's going to scream again or he's going to bleed. When they say, I've got a bleeder, the tears rolling down your face. That cow just picks up his head, and they shoot it in the head, and Renee Zellweger is like, oh no, stop it. Water was going on. Please get me the fuck off this set. I hate my life here. Like, that's the scene. I don't know the comedy.
Jesus Christ. Okay. There are so many things to unpack here. So first off,
Ryan, were you photoshopping during this round?
I was listening the entire time.
Ten out of 10. 10 out of 10. Thanks, Tim. Didn't ever see myself as Captain Crunch when I'm down here.
I just saw that in the chat. It was like, serious.
I was listening the entire time. Don't worry.
I love Brian so much.
Can we get Brian the point?
Hey, Tim, don't say any more things about me doing anything else, okay?
Oh my god, that's better than you and me on the Welcome to Mooseport poster. Oh man,
Oh my god.
that was really funny.
Give Brian the point.
Okay, Brian, you get to
How to know where I'm the champ? No.
thank you for that gift. Oh my lord.
All right. Oh, I guess I'm first, right?
Yeah, you're going.
Everybody ready? Mark's ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this one for me, I actually was this one was pretty easy for me. I thought it was Cody. Now I do think they are both very funny scenes. But especially Cameron's attacks on Cody, talking about how, as we're all men, is all, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, it's things like, yeah, and that's actually kind of what makes it funny. And Cody went a long way to explain that you don't need to see, you can cut away to the scream and the things that are what makes it funny. So Cody got the point.
All right, Mark.
Yeah. We have all noobs. Yeah. I mean, I think, when we outlined the scene and Cody's going through it, it's just all escalation and him bringing up all the other people coming up, and I think him talking about the fireman coming. Hey, we heard an old lady screaming. I wonder what's going on. Just and I feel like all the attacks on the cow scene, it didn't compare. It was a pretty easy go Cody in this one.
All right, my vote doesn't count. I went with Cody too. To be clear, I haven't seen either of these movies, and I've seen scenes from them, but I've never actually watched them. And I was going based off of on their descriptions what made me laugh. And Cameron's actually maybe in his opening when he was describing the scene, it made me laugh really hard. And Cody's really didn't. But the more Cody kept going, I was laughing out loud. Just Cody going, "Why did you keep zipping up? It's all the way to the top." That made me laugh really hard. But I do think I'm interested in both movies now. I think Cameron did a good job of explaining why his scene was funny. I think that Cody tearing it down, he did a good job as far as the argument goes. But Cameron did great. But Cody's scene just had more to it overall. It sounded like to me.
Would you be shocked to learn I spent an hour watching Farrelly scenes and found none of them funny?
That's fair.
Shocker.
All right, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the next question. It is 2-1 in favor of Cody. We're moving on to DreamWorks, drafted by Cameron. The question is, which How to Train Your Dragon side character would make the most interesting spin-off? So, Cameron, you get to kick this off. You have a 1-minute opening when you start talking.
We have seen 3 full movies at this point of humans using empathy, care, respect to train dragons, form these relationships with them, and have this new society be built. And I think the most interesting thing you can do with this franchise now is show us someone who is the complete antithesis of that. And that is why I chose Drago Bloodfist. I just realized my TV's been on this whole time. Drago will give us a whole new perspective on the world of How to Train Your Dragon. It is a story told from the point of view from someone who hates dragons, who has been scarred, devastated, and had everything taken away from him by dragons, and has learned to control them not through respect, through tactics, through training, through empathy, but through fear and power and intimidation. A man who, with nothing but the power of his own voice, the power of his spirit, and the sheer presence of himself, can control an army of dragons, including a bewilderbeast who can hypnotize anyone. How did that man come to be?
Time. All right. Let's go over to Cody. Cody, you have 1 minute when you start talking. You're muted.
The Captain Crunch thing threw me off. Sorry. How to Train Your Dragon. Listen, I think any side character at this point, personally, I don't think we need any more. The question is, which one would be the most interesting? It's Hiccup's mom. Hiccup's mom is by far the most interesting. She got drug away from her husband to find these dragons, to train all of them, and God forbid we train more dragons. Like, if you like How to Train Your Dragon, let's do it. It'd be really hard to do a villain origin story where he beats the shit out of dragons and brutalizes them and takes them in there. I'm guessing this is going to be R-rated for some sake. I just don't see where's the point of doing a villain origin story when there's a clear-cut option of doing Hiccup's mom and let her find out what happened after she got took away. Where did she find her dragon? How did she learn? Because there's not a book. She doesn't have a Night Fury to practice on. So it'd be really interesting that way.
Time. All right. Drago versus Hiccup's mom. So 5 minute Valka, thank you. I wanted to say it, but I'm like, you didn't say it. 5 minute freeform. When one of you starts talking.
So the thing with the Drago Bloodfist movie is it's not going to be this movie about a man beating and brutalizing dragons. It's going to be the story of a guy who, much like Hiccup, was this young person who had an experience with dragons, but instead of having this empathy, this love, this care, this respect, this intelligence, took his loss of a limb and turned it into a fuel for him to hate dragons, for him to learn about them to the point where he can control them, not through love, but through fear, and use them to destroy everything. I want to know the psychology of why a character would come to be that way, why he chose this path, and how he gains this ability that no one else seems to have in this universe.
It's the same problem that we get in every movie. We don't need to know why Michael Myers kills people and why Darth Vader is the way he is and this stuff. The bad guys can just be bad guys. And you want to show me an entire movie spinoff where a teenage boy and his dragon kicked his ass in one movie? I don't see the point. So no one's gonna oppose him. We've already seen the flashback where he goes into the room and meets the Stoic and tells them to all bow to him, and they say no to it. So we've already seen an interesting part play out in one of your movies. The thing is, if you're going to do a spinoff of How to Train Your Dragon, clearly you can't go forward because no one is interesting out of that world to keep going, and there's flashback that takes us far enough away. I'm saying go back to the start and see why Valka did it. And guess what? Valka probably had a run-in with Drago in the past. So or other dragon captives, she can learn to take them away. I think better actor. I don't even know how you can market a movie with Drago as the main guy that talks like he's got gravel in his mouth. You didn't even pick Grimmel, which would be way better voice acting, voice casting, better interesting. He's got chemicals that takes him out. It's a way more interesting pick. You picked the guy that gets his ass kicked by a giant dragon. You should have just picked the giant dragon. That's who you should have picked, not the guy that waves a stick and talks like this. Who cares? No one wants to see a full movie like that.
See, the thing is, I think there is a place for an interesting story. We can do an interesting villain origin story. We have gotten great movies that people love about the origins of villains we like a Joker or something like that.
People loved it.
May I continue, please?
Sure.
The problem with Valka is the fact that the writers clearly showed moving into the third film that they had no idea what to do with her. They reduced her from this cool, badass warrior woman to hot mom that Hiccup's friends are hitting on. They already have run out of steam, and you cannot move forwards. The problem with moving backwards is, we see where she finds her dragon. It happens in the second movie. We have all of that. We are given the context in the second movie of the fact that she has spent 17 years away from humanity entirely, interacting with no one but dragons. You are pitching a movie with one character only. No humans whatsoever.
You're picking a guy that's going to beat a bunch of dragons' asses and make him bow down to his will. That doesn't sound awesome for an animated kids movie at the end of the day. You're picking the villain that everybody doesn't have anybody to cheer for. And what happens at the end of your movie? He heads towards Burke to take on the kid? There's no way. You're right. In the third one, they ran out of stuff because the arc was second and they didn't know what to do with her in the third. The interesting one is to see at the night that she got taken with the dragon from Burke, where she goes, how she learns to fend for herself. It's voiced by Kate Blanchett. That's a great voice actor to just continue the role. Let it happen. My thing is, the only thing that makes your character interesting from the second one is the giant dragon that he's operating. And if you're going to show me how he found it, it doesn't really matter because I've already seen that dragon get its ass kicked by Hiccup, by Toothless. So at that point, what are we doing? There's no point to do a villain origin story that he's going to be mean to a bunch of dragons. We just spent 3 movies teaching them that dragons are okay. Now, why don't you do a Stoic movie? He hated him and beat it, and he is a better voice actor.
Okay, first of all, I think you keep saying it's this beating of dragons. I am not pitching a movie where it is nothing but just animal cruelty towards dragons. I am pitching a movie about a man who is broken and takes that pain and channels it not positively the way Hiccup does, but negatively the way Drago does. A man who is so scarred and hurt by these dragons that he learns a skill no one else has to control them. It is something new. It is something interesting. It is something different. As much as Falco works with dragons, we have seen 3 movies of people working alongside dragons. We have seen 2 movies of Valka being there. What we have not seen is a brand new take on this world from the perspective of someone who does not want to partake in this society.
But you're okay. Okay, so not physical abuse, verbal abuse, where he just yells at him and screams at him and holds a stick and threatens to beat him. I can't wait to watch the Dog Catcher movie that you're going to pitch next. At the end of the day, I don't understand where we're going. If you're going to pitch a character that hates dragons, pick Stoic before Hiccup's around. That's the pitch.
All right. We are going to move to Cody to close first. Cody, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
He's pitching this villain origin story where he's going to use villain because he lost his arm. He's going to use fear to control these dragons. He's not going to beat him. He's not going to yell at him. He's not going to do any of those things. Overall, he is just going to literally use fear for the entire movie of the dragons that kids go to see these movies and they're excited to watch. Pitch this thing where he's just going to scream at them the entire time. Valka got taken the night away from Stoic, and she had to build her way back up. That's a story that we can teach. How to Train Your Dragon is a successful franchise. There's a backstory that we never got to see from her world or where she got him or who she ran into. There's a lot of arcs that we can see, who she lost along the way. The 17 years, there's a lot to develop there. We can see and enjoy our time. I don't want to watch the dragon abuse movie. That just is weird. And we've already seen the dragon abuser get beaten. He lost at the end of his movie. So to bring him to do his own movie for an hour and 30 minutes, who's he going to go against?
Time. All right. We're going to bring in Cameron. Cameron, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
This pitch is not the most family-friendly movie. The pitch is not the most fitting movie. It is the most interesting movie, and I think the most interesting movie is the take that we have never seen before. This movie does not necessarily have to be for kids, but this is also not just the movie about animal cruelty that you keep thinking I'm pitching. I want to see how he learned this, how he communed with dragons and gained these skills and had that turn. Where did he learn how to do all of this? If I wanted a bunch of backstory, a bunch more stories about people rescuing dragons, all that stuff, there are 2 or 3 separate TV shows that I could watch in the How to Train Your Dragon universe that fulfill that different thing. Why don't I want Grimmel? That's in the show. There's so much other stuff that exists in this canon, exists in this universe that we've already seen. But what we haven't seen is a new interesting take, a new perspective. Jaimin Hansu giving this deep, dark vocal performance, this slow turn from a person who is respected in society, a person who believes that he deserves to be the one person in control, who eventually becomes a warlord with an army of dragons. I want to know the start of that. How did he break? Why did he break? And how did he gain these powers that dragons and humans alike fear instead of just another same story?
Okay. For the record, I gave Cameron an extra 10 seconds on that closing because we do need to ignore the TV talk judges. So we can't let that affect no TV. But I did give Cameron an extra 10 seconds because of that. So just so you guys are aware. Are you guys both ready? And I'm just sitting here like a crazy person. Okay.
I'm not ready yet.
Okay. Brian's always ready really quick. Brian's a man who knows what he wants. Okay.
I just keep my tally throughout the debate and figure out.
Oh,
man. So why don't we take a break? We'll be right back after these messages from Captain Crunch.
All right.
Brian,
Oh,
can you
I can go
Photoshop
first.
Cody's photo onto the poster of the film Mute?
Under what?
The film Mute.
All right, I'm going first. This was interesting. I went with Cody. And Cam, I swear I don't hate you. And I always feel bad when I end up doing it like this, but it's just how I feel in this fight. I think that Cameron was able to sway me on the whole why it wouldn't be just an animal abuse movie. Cody was really drilling that point home. Cameron was able to kind of persuade me on the fact that that's not what it would be. That being said, I think Cody's closing was really strong. I think that Cody did a really good job of kind of explaining why there are other characters that would have been more interesting. Stoic was the big one that stuck out to me with the example of like if you wanted to see a character who opposed dragons before the events of the films, like Stoic would have been a great example. And he pointed out examples of like we've already seen like parts of the movie you're talking about in the films. And Cameron tried to kind of put down the Valka thing by being like it's a one-woman show, like she's by herself. But Cody was kind of able to be like, dude, there's 17 years of stuff. We don't know everything that happened. I thought that Cody, at the end of the day, for me, gave the more interesting pitch, but it was really close. I would personally want to see both of these movies. And considering when we got the answers and I saw Cameron's answer, I was like, no way. And he actually had me convinced, like, no, this is a movie I would actually want to see. He did a really good job. It's just, I think Cody had the edge on this one. So, Brian, am I crazy or do you agree?
Those are not mutually exclusive.
That's fair.
Yeah, I would see both these movies. I like both these pitches. I would watch both these. Cameron had me pretty strongly in his opening, and Cody never quite did enough to get the point away from him. So I went with Cam. I just think that Cameron was strongest. We was talking about, how this is going to be. It's interesting because we've seen, Hiccup's story. We've seen somebody who, loves and rescues, the dragons, but to see the whole story from a different point of view, from somebody completely the other side, the antithesis, who's controlling them through fear and how he got that way. And that it sounds far more interesting to me. And as he said, we're not talking about the most family friendly things like that. We're talking most interesting. And this is the most interesting take to me.
All right, Mark, you're deciding this one.
Cool. I love it. I thrive to be in these situations.
Judge debate, they said. You'll have fun, they said.
I feel like usually whenever I get one of these types of questions, like it usually just it usually comes down to like which one do I think I would like to see more. And I think kind of hearing them talking about it, I did lean Cody for this one. I think just on person, I kind of somewhat agree with what both of you guys say. Although I think at least like the Hiccup's mom story, I think just sounds just because it's something that we just don't know a lot about, and it also sounds like it probably fits this universe better. And I think that's probably the thing like with Cam's movie. Like I'm not sure how much it really fits like the universe that it exists in.
Okay. All right. So that means Cody wins the point. It is 3-1. I can do math. 3-1. So Cameron does need to hit this in order to send it to the bonus questions. The next category, drafted by Cody. It was in the category of actors and actresses, and the question is, who is the best supporting character in a 1995 to 2001 Adam Sandler movie? Cody, you drafted this. You get to go first. 1 minute when you start talking.
Supporting character, you can go a whole lot of different ways with Adam Sandler films. I went with Julia Sullivan in Wedding Singer. Not to mention the most chemistry Adam Sandler ever shows with any person ever on screen is Drew Barrymore, and I don't think it ever gets to this level again since Wedding Singer. This is in the stage of the goofy comedy, the slapstick, everything's happening, and she's so grounded in this movie. She has such a heart. She drives the emotional core through this movie and makes him as a character like realize like not to kill himself because he sings it in the movie, and like how their relationship develops and how they're intrigued, and they play off each other so well in situational comedy. I think it's just an absolute clear-cut choice as the best supporting character. It's Julia Sullivan. Like how they start off as friends, helping each other through a marriage to the wrong guy, and yeah, it's Julia Sullivan.
Okay, we're gonna move over to Cameron. Cameron, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
I think a movie can only be as good as its villain. And I think there is no better villain in an Adam Sandler movie than Shooter McGavin. I think that Shooter serves as the perfect antithesis to who Happy Gilmore is as a character. Happy is this earnest, humble guy who just wants to find his place in the world of golf, who just wants to win to prove that he can do it. Whereas Shooter McGavin is this over-the-top, arrogant loudmouth. He thinks he's the greatest in the world and is not afraid to tell it to you. And the way he is able to portray that in these incredibly funny, insanely comedic, and frankly just absolute dickish moments is phenomenal. Christopher McDonald is giving a great performance. Every moment he is playing this in slightly over the top, but not so much that it's insane, but just this real absolute douche. And it's fantastic. It perfectly plays off of the characters that we are rooting for. It makes him the perfectly hateable villain, but we still enjoy watching him. He has so many great, memorable lines, and he is always present there in the narrative to make us laugh.
All right. 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
It's really interesting you picked Shooter. Shooter, yeah, and a villain, muscle twirling villain in Adam Sandler. Bradley Whitford, as another one that he just resembles very much of this character. The problem with Shooter and the problem with Happy Gilmore is best supporting character. Even in Happy Gilmore, there are so much to choose from. It is so hard. Carl Weathers, and not to mention, I would say the funniest and best supporting character in Happy Gilmore is Joe Flaherty. He's the one that yells jackass. He's the one that hits Happy Gilmore. He's basically the higher up for Shooter McGavin, but all the funny moments stems from him. Carl Weathers as Chubbs is also an absolute amazing supporting character in the movie. My thing is, it's a villain versus a love interest. It's going to be a weird debate anyways, but I'm saying the best supporting character is Drew Barrymore because the heart and soul of Wedding Singer is directly tied to her. And if she gave a lesser performance like other female in that movie, it would have fallen flat on its face. Drew Barrymore has such a sincere delivery in what she's doing. You believe that character and you like that character and you want her to be happy. And that's why I think it's the best supporting character.
See, I think the biggest problem with Julia is that the immediate introduction to her character when we first see her waitressing at the wedding, she is posited and positioned within the film, at least for the first half, as a sex object and a prize to be won by whatever the wedding singer's real name's friend is. She is set there as this just woman. She is to be won. She is to be wooed. She is to be taken by a man. And I think that it takes a long, long time in the movie for her to overcome that because the movie doesn't give her a lot of time to be her own character. For so much of the movie, her job is to sit there, to react to Sandler doing his Sandlerisms and not be her own person while going through just the stereotypical drama of, oh, my boyfriend is terrible. Oh, I'm planning a wedding and there's all these things. And while there are these emotional moments near the end of the movie, it's very inconsistent. Shooter McGavin, sure, there's no arc, but he doesn't need an arc. He needs to serve as this cocky douchebag villain. He needs to serve as this just rampant lunatic on the golf course. He is an obstacle in Happy's way, and he fills that role exactly how he needs to be.
As a person that just watched Wedding Singer for the first time, I know where you miss things, and that's okay. But the thing is, the sex object is a moment that's said and never repeated to her till later. They don't even chase after her. She never talks bad about her boyfriend the entire time. There's never a moment that she doesn't like him until it slowly starts developing the relationship with Adam Sandler. That's where the crux of that entire conversation is. She's going through all that. The difference is I can cast anybody to be Shooter McGavin. I can't cast anybody to be Drew Barrymore. If you cast somebody else in there, like the other side characters in that movie, you have it falls flat on its face, and that's a problem in Adam Sandler movies when they can't cast female leads. And Drew Barrymore, that's why the consistent throughout, she is by far the rock that holds that movie afloat and carries it because it can turn into a goofy Sandlerism anytime. Your movie, Shooter McGavin, doesn't need an arc, fine, but overall, anybody could play his character. I would say that Ben Stiller in his character has got better moments, got funnier parts, got interesting more development with his grandma. That's the crux that makes the movie move. Shooter McGavin's just the foil that shoots a lot and plays golf. No one really cares.
You see, but that's the thing. He is the foil. Happy has no reason to continue going in his story. He has no reason to be as fired up about golf, as passionate about what he's doing than his rivalry with Shooter, his hatred of him. And Shooter interacts with all these other side characters. He is ever present. He is always in their face. He is always just taking down Happy whenever he can, trying to undercut him. But it enables Sandler to have that earnestness, that joy, that humbleness that makes us root for him more. His presence as a villain is so great that it makes us root for the hero more instead of just being a love interest. As well, you say she doesn't just complain about her boyfriend all the time. Drew Barrymore's character is always complaining about it. Is not always, but is complaining about him. There's a scene where she just stands there crying, saying his own name. Like that, if that's not complaining about him, I don't know what is.
That's at the end of that's the very end of the movie. She's in love with this guy until she boards the plane. Like, that's the entire crux of it. I'm so confused. And really, he's not the foil that does it. His grandmother's on the line, losing Chubbs, all these incidents that happen move Happy. Happy doesn't even have to take down Shooter at the end of the movie. He has to shoot down an obstacle course at the end. That's by the other guy that set it up, not by Shooter. I get where you're saying, like, she's going through the naming process. She's finding love. But that's what Drew Barrymore is. She's the rock that holds this entire movie afloat. She's the sweet, innocent, like, romantic comedy lead that you want in a movie. When Sandler's being goofy, she's the one that grounds the story and you cheer for and you want to like her and you want to have it. Shooter's just the asshole that shoots the gun. Bradley Whitford does it better in Billy Madison, and Shooter just does a copy of that into this movie. It doesn't work. Like, he has some moments, but overall, everything he hires and sets up around him is the best part of him. Him himself doesn't do any of that.
See, but he does. He has the memorable lines for himself. He is the reason that obstacle happens, because he's the one that insists that shot must be played. He is the one doing all of the things and actually forcing these situations to continue going instead of things just being allowed to resolve themselves naturally. Julia does nothing more than exist as a product of the men around her, whether it be her weird love-like relationship with Sandler or her shitty relationship with her bad boyfriend. I don't care that she cries on a plane at the end of the movie because someone sings a song, because she doesn't make me care enough about her before that happens to actually like her as a character.
Time. Okay, Cameron, we're going to kick it off with you for the closings. You get 1 minute when you start talking.
Cody has talked a lot about the fact that other people could play Shooter McGavin, and sure, they could, but that does not discount that he is a great character. That just discounts Christopher McDonald's performance, if anything. The character as written, the character as played is fantastic. Drew Barrymore, while giving a good performance, is giving a good performance as a nothing character. She is barely present through the first half of the film. She is posited as this prize to be won without an actual real personality, and over the time that it develops, the main things we know about her are that her boyfriend cheats on her. She's not very happy with the idea of marrying him because she cries and stands there while thinking about the idea of being married to him. And then she's a little happy because she might get to marry Sandler. She is there to enable Sandler as this romantic lead that he fails to be. Shooter McGavin is a great villain. He is a foil. He's the motivation. He is the cause of the wrongs, and he enables us to love our lead more. He enables Happy to be this lovable, earnest, humble man, despite the fact that at the beginning of the movie, he absolutely has the traits that in the hockey world could turn him into the exact same thing. But he is the true core evil version of that. I do not have to be better than the other characters in Happy Gilmore, like Cody said, but Shooter has to be better than Julia, and he is. Fact.
Time. Okay, We'll bring in Cody, who has 1 minute to close his argument when he starts talking.
It's a person that's watched Wedding Singer one time and does not know anything about the movie. She doesn't complain about the movie. Adam Sandler toes the line. They don't interrupt him in the relationship in the last 20 minutes of the film. He writes a song to him. It's that romantic crux at the end of the movie where he sings, "I want to grow old with you," and she is in love with him, but she didn't know that she needed Adam Sandler until Adam Sandler popped up in her life. She is not an object of these people. She is the chosen person. She is the crux, the rock of this movie. She is so sweet, so innocent. That's the point that everybody falls for in the movie because they want to see her happy. If it was just Adam Sandler, no one would care, but it's her. Shooter McGavin is a character that has a bunch of higher-ups that hire people that do the things for him. He's not interesting. He doesn't have a ton of great one-liners. He's very minimal in the movie, and the problem is the crux of the movie is Happy's fucking broke, and Happy makes money on the golf course, and that's it. That's what we do. He needs to make money, and he does that and takes care of his grandma. Shooter is just a random guy that could have been anybody in that movie.
Time. Okay. Fun fact. I've been told that my grandfather's favorite movie was Happy Gilmore. He's no longer with us. But I've been told that that was his favorite movie by my father many times.
Well, that's an amazing way to end this round.
Well, I just lost the point.
Hey, he died when I was 3 years old, so I remember nothing. But every time that movie's on TV, my dad's like, "Oh, grandpa." All right, I'm ready. You guys ready?
I guess.
Hold on.
Did Payson put RIP in the chat after Tim's whole thing?
Why is he here?
Why is he?
I just saw that. And I was like, wait a minute.
He's been here since question 2.
He's seen all the new releases. He has nothing else to do. So
I don't know. He loves his debate. He'll show up and watch these for some reason.
Yeah, you better watch and like the video when it comes out, you motherfucker. Okay. Mark, you're kicking us off.
Cool. All right. This one was really tough. Really tough. That was really rough. I did go with Holzman on this one. I think ultimately when it kind of comes down, I think there was kind of one thing that Cody kept throwing at, and I just kind of didn't buy this part of the argument of if you take Shooter out of the movie, I think it's different. I think kind of that Shooter as a character, I think is ultimately kind of what drives everything that happens in those final 30 minutes, especially, he buys the grandma's house, which makes him play in that tournament at the end. Okay. There we go. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Just say what you need to say, Mark.
That was pretty much it. I'm gonna give the point. There we go.
All right. As I spoiled in the chat, I saw Happy Gilmore a long time ago, and I haven't seen it in a long time. I saw Wedding Singer a couple years ago. I don't really remember it that well. I also thought this one was close. And it's tough because Cody is clearly so passionate about this. And I almost think that kind of came to his detriment in this. He let Holtzman, I think, get a couple punches in. I'm going back and forth. I'm going to go with what's on my board. I did also go with Cameron. So Cameron, clearly I don't hate you. But I think that I think what kind of got me was because, again, Mark was bringing up stuff from the movie. I don't have that knowledge to kind of base it off. But Cameron, he more or less told me, I think his closing was super strong, where he said, like, Cody spent a lot of time talking about, like, yeah, anybody could have played that character. We were talking about the best character, and the character in the movie works the best. And it was really tough. I went with Holtzman. This was a tough one. I'm having trouble kind of gathering my thoughts, but obviously, Brian, your vote doesn't count. But where would you have gone and why?
Well, yes, you're going to go with what's on your board, because once it's on your board, you can't change it. Just
Correct.
saying.
Which is why we went to boards instead of instead of the other.
Mine doesn't count. You guys pretty much covered everything I would say. I also went with Cameron.
Oh wow!
So clean sweep for him.
Interesting. All right. So what this means is we are at a 3-2 in favor of Cody, and that means that Cody and Cameron are moving on to a bonus round. There are 2 bonus round questions. In case we need to go, I should probably get rid of the Adam Sandler question in case we need to have a tie after the first one. So, what I did with the help of one Nicholas Twohig is came up with 2 bonus questions. One in the world of fandom, one in the world of Mayzone, and we randomized which will go first. So we randomize whether fandom or melee will show up first. We also randomized the category and then came up with a question for the categories that were randomized. So as random as we can possibly make it. You each, I'm going to read the question, put it on screen, and then I am going to read the question once again. Once I have read the question for a second time, you guys can answer. You can use Google. You can do whatever you need there. Whoever says their answer first will go first on the question, but you each are going to get 45 seconds, and then you each are going to get 30 seconds. Am I cutting out, or is that Cameron?
It's Cameron. He put in the chat that he's freezing.
Got it. I'm going to keep explaining the rules. Cody, do you understand the rules as I have read them to you? Beautiful. We'll be right back. All right, the players have understood the rules as I've read them. Maggie, is that how it goes in lawyer speak? Okay. The first side of Fanzone that was randomized was fandom. The category that was randomized was sci-fi icons. And the question is, who is the most efficient killer in a sci-fi icons film? To clarify, I would like the killer and the film. So again, who is the most efficient killer in a sci-fi icons film? I would like the killer and the film from which he's coming from, he or she.
Most efficient killer?
Yep.
Ellen Ripley, Aliens.
Okay.
I will go with RoboCop in 2014's RoboCop.
Okay. So I am going to take the other judges out, but I am going to stay on screen to give you guys your countdowns. Cody spoke first, so he's going to go first. We have Ellen Ripley in Aliens. Correct, Aliens. Yes, and we have RoboCop in 2014's RoboCop. So Cody, you get 45 seconds when you start talking.
When you take Ellen Ripley and you add her to Aliens, where she had to fight a xenomorph once, and add her to where hundreds of them exist, and she has to keep slaying them and walks away from the film, that's the most efficient that I can possibly see. She kills them and keeps killing them and be able to handle it. 2014 RoboCop hardly does. Yes, he's a cop. He does his job. He does his kills where he needs to. But most efficient, I wouldn't even say close. I would say the most efficient RoboCop would be in the first one if you're going to pick one. But yeah, most efficient by far, Ellen Ripley, as she has to go through a task that she faced one time before and is able to walk away free. That's the most efficient killer. I'm done.
I give the full time.
Sorry.
Anyway, Cameron, 45 seconds when you're ready.
In 2014's RoboCop, Alex Murphy has been surgically reproduced to create the ultimate law enforcement and killing machine, and he overtakes his programming, but still has the abilities given to him by it. He is built to target, to fight, to attack, and to know the most efficient and ruthless, lethal way to kill his opponent. He does that by taking down an army of Ed 209 drones, fighting his way to the people that he needs to take down, and doing so in a ruthless, efficient, and practical manner. The problem with Ellen Ripley is that while she knows what she's doing, she still gets stuck in one-on-one battles. She still gets stuck taking this big machine where the machine is doing all of the work and not her. She gets stuck in these damsel in distress situations where she has to protect a child and is focused more on protecting others than killing things around her. RoboCop is built, designed, and created to be made of weapons, kill, take down, and save people, and kill others doing so.
Time. Cody, 30 seconds.
If a person's in a tank and kills people, he still gets credit for the kills. That's who. Doesn't matter what machine you're driving. You're facing xenomorphs, which is a harder task to actually kill. One-on-one battles. What does that matter? He kills what he has to kill. RoboCop is a robot with an enhanced fat that kills people. Cool. My task is harder overall and the most efficient. She is doing it and walking away completely scot-free, living, facing xenomorphs, which if RoboCop had to play xenomorphs, wouldn't stand a chance. So I don't understand the argument.
Time. All right, Cameron, 30 seconds.
Through not only programming, being engineered, and training, RoboCop is able to become a ruthless, efficient killing machine. He's able to take down humans and robots alike, criminals and powerful people who he's not even supposed to be able to kill due to his programming, and overcome that. Ellen Ripley relies on those around her. She is surrounded by people with big guns. She is fighting aliens. I don't care who the target is. RoboCop dispatches his targets more efficiently than Ripley dispatches hers. RoboCop lives through his events, overcomes everything against him. Ripley gets stuck in these situations, becomes a damsel in distress, and relies on the things around her and the people around her.
All right. We will bring in the judges. Put you there. I'm going to put you there. I'm going to switch us there, and I'm going to switch you there. Okay. Mark looks pissed.
It's just like I'm a moron. Good. I don't make it this far in life.
All right, we all ready? Brian, I believe you are kicking us off.
All right, so this is a new one with this most efficient killer. This is a new take I haven't heard in a question before. Part of the problem with that is I don't know how much the argument. I mean, they use the word efficient, but I was hearing a lot about why they were survivors. Now they've lived through it. I heard a lot about who had the harder task, things like that. But in terms of efficiency of killing, I just had to come down and grasp on whatever little parts I could, and I got a little bit more from Cameron.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, the other way. When all Captain Crunch.
He's like, shit,
I was like, that is not the name of any person here on this panel. I believe Cody would agree with me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I kind of, was with the same way with Brian a little bit, but I think, I don't know. I think I kind of go the other way. I think Cody did a better job answering the question. I don't know. I didn't buy any of Cameron's shots on him. Like, I don't know. There's a whole third act in the movie where Ellen Ripley's not a damsel in distress. So like, I don't know. I end up going with Cody.
Great. So I decide if we move on to a final question or not. I love these decisions. Okay. Let me talk this out. Pros and cons. I think that Cody, as someone who has watched all of these movies, and actually now that I'm thinking about it, Transformers also was in Sci-Fi Icons. We didn't say that before. Not that any of them really are killers, but Cody said his answer, and I went, okay, I don't really see that, but okay. And Cameron said his answer, and I was like, yeah, I can see that, but he picked the wrong movie. What the fuck? And so Cody pointed that out. Fuck. Okay. I went with Cody. He convinced me not. I kind of took the fact that I know these movies very well out of my brain. Because I think that Cody really did convince me that while thinking about it in my own head, Ripley doesn't really kill that many aliens other than the mother at the end. That I can remember, but he convinced me that she's a fucking badass who is efficient, gets her job done, and kills those motherfuckers in the movie. Cameron convinced me that RoboCop's a good cop and can do his job and survived and became a hero, whatever. I think I got more from. I agree with Mark that I think that I got more from Cody on the efficiency of Ripley. So I went with Cody, and that means your winner and still Fanzone debate champion is Cody Newberry with a final score of 4-2. So we are going to start by talking to Cameron. Cameron, great job today. Correct me if I'm wrong. You seemed a bit down after the How to Train Your Dragon question, but you came back and you clean sweeped Adam Sandler, which you seemed very shocked to. Now, as someone who has played this game and judged this game a lot, I know how it feels to lose on a question that you drafted. Cody will probably tell you the same thing when we get to talking to him about Adam Sandler. I once drafted Ted and lost. He's the mascot of the show. So I understand, but you came back and you swept a category that Cody probably came in here thinking was a slam dunk for him. So I think you played really great in your first time in a title match. Debate is tough. You've always shown a lot of really great style and substance to your debate, whether you claim you put in the prep or not, you always come to play. And I think this was no different. I think this was a really good performance. How are you feeling about your first title match here? And yeah, just give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I feel good. Obviously, yeah, losing the point on a Dragons question feels really bad. I think it's mostly because I always forget when it comes to things like Dragons that I cannot bring up the TV shows.
Yeah.
And my God, is there a lot for Valka content in the shows. There's so much. And knowing that and being prepared to bring that up and then having that as one of my main things I was ready to do and not realizing in advance that that wouldn't have counted was the main thing where I was like, I just wish I could have known that and prepared slightly differently about that. But that's on me. Otherwise, yeah, also like Valka absolutely would be the cooler spinoff 100%. Like she's so cool. And when I described the picks, I was like, oh, you only get like Valka and no humans, it's just a bunch of dragons. And then someone was like, so it's just Cate Blanchett doing Shakespearean monologues to dragons for an hour and a half? That sounds badass. And it's like, that sounds like an awesome movie. I would love to see that. You know what? Yeah, Cody did a great job of picking strengths that I know nothing about and or hate actively. Of the best. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Ooh,
You're back.
I am. Okay, where did I cut out?
Now you're back. Okay.
Cody did picking strengths that suck for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Cody picked strengths that I don't like. So I relied on what I could. Yeah, the Farrelly brothers. I don't like any of their movies except for like kind of Fever Pitch, but I also think Fever Pitch has no like really funny outwardly scenes. It's just like nice. And that's just me appeasing Cody, but also it is a very lovely movie. And then Sandler, yeah, like he picked an era of Sandler where I'm like, I only like one of these movies that I've seen, so I guess I'm picking something from that. Everyone should watch Everybody's Talking About Jamie. I think it's a lovely and beautiful film. It's a fantastic movie that more people need to watch. But no, I'm very proud with how I did. Fun multiplex fact. This is the first title match I've ever played in that did not involve a cash in from a last one standing of any kind.
You won a tournament.
I won this tournament, yes.
Yeah.
The other times I've played in any form of multiplex title match were either cashing in for a title or being invited for a cash in for a number one contender match. So this is my first true earned title match. And I'm proud of how I did. I was at least able to keep it at least kind of close on a lot of these, I think. Cody did fantastic. Yeah, there were a lot of times where I was like, I think I'm losing this entirely. And there were a lot of times where I did. But yeah, I feel good about how I did. Cody did fantastic. Yeah.
Cameron, I want to ask you one more question, and I need you to be honest with me. Jimmy Fallon, like, not a good actor, right? Like, and honestly, his show is kind of bad. Your thoughts?
Oh, the Jimmy Fallon Tonight with Jimmy Fallon is a plague upon humanity.
To be clear, I like his games, his interviews. No,
you don't like him laughing before people start talking?
Correct. Thank you.
Well, luckily for you, he actually gets through full lines of dialogues without just fake laughing in the film Fever Pitch.
Oh, good. I'll have to check it out. Cameron, honestly, congrats. You won a tournament. You pointing out the fact that, yeah, like, I think it, as someone who has been a part of the multiplex cog for a long time, it is a cool thing to get to a title match and to do well, to push someone who is clearly very good at it to the limit. I'm proud of you. I think you did great. I can't wait to see what you do next in debate. So great job, Cameron. We're going to bring in the champion, Cody Newberry. You defended the title. You said from the get-go you wanted to defend the title. That's what you aim to do. You have been saying for months now, you knew what categories you were going to draft, no matter who was on the other end of this. Is that true? Did you draft what you were thinking, or did you have stuff specifically for Cameron Holtzman once he came in? Because some of it worked in your favor, some of it didn't. So I'd like to hear.
Yeah. So I've prepped, like, I have such time off between debates that, like, I just made to make sure that because I don't have time to practice against anybody. So my whole thing is, like, getting things ready. So I have more than I wanted. There was some that I was going to pull out if certain people were here, certain if not. I have scenes written down. I have characters. I have stuff like that. So I take this very seriously. And I said at the start, and, like, Cam came to play today, and I'm really happy he did overall, because a lot, like I said in the beginning of this tournament, it sucks as a champion to sit back and just wait for somebody that, like, comes through and says, "Oh, I didn't take this seriously," or "I had no time to prep," or "I didn't really want to make it this far." It's just annoying to me because, like, I wait months to play again, which if I could drop the belt and just play, like, a lot, I'd do it tomorrow. Like, I enjoy playing.
Yeah,
so,
your last match aired in February.
Yeah, so, like, I sit back and wait a long time to play. So I enjoy playing. I enjoy this league. I enjoy being around it, and I like hearing the debate. So I take it very seriously. Honestly, like, Cam, I always predict one loss that I'm going to lose going into everyone because I only need to win 4. And I had my loss at Sandler. He picked the correct choice. Again, when it was side character, shooter was never an option because to me, it's not a side character. As a supporting character, once it was switched to supporting, I had really no other option in my head. I couldn't go villain versus villain. So shooter's fantastic, and overall, apologize to Mark for getting mad when he was talking. It's just like he was saying stuff that Cam didn't bring up in the debate. So I was like, he didn't say it. Don't hold it against me. But overall, he played really well. He played really well. But again, I take this super serious. And when you said sci-fi icons, I literally was motherfucking back here because I've seen 8 of the 34, and I haven't seen a couple in like 2 years plus. Like if I had them,
Well, wait
So-
till I tell you what the melee category
I
was.
can just imagine. So I was quite because I was like, this is it. I'm going to lose on a category I've done no work on whatsoever, which I need to do work on. And I'm telling all my opponents right now I haven't done sci-fi icons. That will change before
Gotta
next
study for debate, people.
But overall, it's I had a lot of fun. Cam played his ass off. Dragon Abuse movie aside, I saw everybody's talking about Jamie. Richard E. Grant's fucking great. Go watch that. But yeah, thanks for having me back. This was a lot of fun.
Cody,
Captain Crunch.
nobody is privy to this information. I am spreading it for the first time here.
Mm.
You've defended,
Yep.
so we're gonna see you back.
Retired.
You're tired?
I'm retired. No, just
Oh,
kidding.
fuck no, please don't do that. Because we have another, you're going to be playing again coming in October.
Okay.
These are your options. You got your people who are newer that haven't really gotten their shot yet, and some people who have kind of shown their stuff. You got your Chadwick Webbs, Alex Martinez, Will Cohen, Jack Pinchuk, Robert Kastner, Rosario Montenegro, Bill Carriola, and Rue Moses. Those are your people that you could be facing in a next title match. Anybody stick out?
So I played Robert and I beat Robert, so I'd rather not play Robert again.
You versus Bill sounds disgusting.
Yeah, Chadwick Webb, man, like there's players like Alex and stuff like that. They could. Anything could happen. But those top three, Nazario, Bill, Rue, I'll see one of them in October. I've seen them debate. I've watched them battle it. It depends who gets what road and what that final will be. But I would be shocked if I'm not seeing one of them in debate. And I would love to debate Nazario. Like, I debate him in DMs all the time on stuff that he just wants to argue about. So for 5 minutes, beating the shit out of him sounds like fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Cody, great job. Congrats on defending the belt. And that's going to do it for us today at Fanzone Debate. Thank you guys for watching this part of Mayhem at the Multiplex 6. Why the fuck have I been here for 5 of these? That's absolutely insane. Thank you to Mark and Brian for helping judge this. Mark, let's get final thoughts from you.
No, this is great. It's really close. It's always interesting when we went back to back on stealing each other's categories, and when Cam forced a speed round. So yeah, it was fun.
Brian, final thoughts from you.
Yeah, no, this was kind of what we thought it would be. It was pretty close. I mean, they're going back and forth for the first few rounds. Holzman almost pulled it out at the end there, but those speed rounds will get you. But yeah, I mean, Cody's a force to be reckoned with, and we kind of knew that was coming. So, I expect Cameron will be back in the title picture again next time he's in the mix. And in the meantime, we get to see Cody yell at somebody else.
Yeah. No, thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I appreciate both of you for helping with questions and judging the whole season. I'm looking forward to this next part of the season. We got a lot of great stuff in store for you, like matches we just talked about with all of those people coming up, but also other fun stuff. And there is one Kirk Kowalkowski that still has yet to return at the end of the season sometime. So we'll see where he shows up. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys for watching. This has been fantastic. Continue to watch Mayhem at the Multiplex. If you missed part 1, go back and watch that. There's some crazy shit that happens in part 1. And be sure to look out for part 3 coming out later. And obviously the next part of this video, there is some just awesome stuff coming your way. Please keep watching. Thank you guys so much. I've been Tim. That is Brian and Mark. Thank you to Cameron. Thank you to Cody. Thank you to Nick for helping me with those bonus questions. Thank you to Brian once again for bringing us Captain Crunch. And I have been Tim. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
There we go. Thank you very much. Please come again. We have a lot more groceries.
everybody. Welcome back to Multiplex Movie Melee. I am your host, Philadelphia. With me is the one, the only, the incomparable Andrew the Dive Bar. Andrew, how's it going?
I'm feeling very flattered. You called me incomparable. I appreciate that. But no, I'm excited for this match. We have a bunch of Titans going up against each other.
Title fight. Yeah.
So we have Ginyu Force, arguably one of the greatest teams of all time in movie Melee history. But now you also have Judgment City, comprised of Kaleb Boatman and Jeremy Adams. Two people who have won singles championships coming together, haven't lost a match yet. They're on a roll this year, so this is going to be an epic match.
Yeah, having played 3 of the 4 people in this match, we're in for, as the kids call it, a humdinger. With that being said, let us bring in our challengers. One, Mr. Kaleb Boatman. One, Mr. Jeremy Adams. Judgment City, how you boys doing?
Good. A lot of history to this match. I think, back when I first started, Jeremy and I were kind of known as like the 2 rivals. It was kind of Rocky 1. That first title match was kind of Rocky 1 a little bit, and then now we're in the Rocky 3 mode. We're running through the beach. But, and then Ginyu Force is the team that famously took out and kind of put the kibosh before Double Indemnity even started. So obviously I'm looking for the win. That I haven't been in a team's title match since 2019. A lot of history there. A lot of things playing into this match. I think this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I cashed in a chip from to get to a contenders match. Thankfully that worked out. I kind of had a feeling this team of Judgment City would be the one to use that on, and it got us here, and I'm feeling the heat. I think Kaleb is too, but we're really excited to be here, and there's nothing else I'd rather use that for, because I just love playing with Kaleb, and Judgment's going to come today.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And now we will bring in your challengers, the champions. One, Mr. Pacey Johnson. One, Mr. David Nishimoto. Ginyu Force. Gentlemen, how are you?
Bowman and Jeremy are great players. Let's play.
Yeah, let's play.
All right, I guess we're fucking done with that. So with that, we'll get on to round 1. Round 1 works like this. It is the whiteboard round. You will get 8 questions in 8 different categories, each with 1 point value. It will give you 15 seconds at the end of that time. We will ask you to show your board and verbally say your answer. You will have 4 repeats, I believe, and 1 challenge for the duration of this match. Yes. And if you get all 8 questions right, you will get a bonus question. Is there any questions before we get started?
Nope.
Cool. All right, your first question comes in the category of comic book movies. Who stars as the titular character in Steel?
Do you read the funny books?
Are you looking at this shit behind me?
I'm blind as a bat.
Yeah, fair enough. I got a gigantic, little Unicron. I got a Booster Gold and a
5
Blue Beetle.
4,
Yeah, I would say so. Yes.
3, 2, 1.
Pens down. Cool. All right, we will start with Payson.
It's at this moment when you realize you do not know how to spell his first name, Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, we don't take off points for spelling Boatman.
He played for the Orlando Magic at some point, I think. Shaquille O'Neal?
That is actually correct. Yes, David.
Yeah, it's DJ Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal.
And Jeremy.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Thank you for just giving me the answer, Jeremy. Yes, that is all correct across the board.
All right. We're going to go into your next category, which is the 1990s. What kind of competitive event is central to the plot of Drop Dead Gorgeous? I cannot believe someone brought up DJ Diesel.
I don't even remember what that is. I don't know.
That was Shaq, baby!
I know it was. Jesus. But let's talk about Shaq Fu. That's some stuff.
5.
That was a game that happened.
2, 1. Pens down.
All right, we'll go to Boatman.
Beauty pageant.
All right, and David.
Beauty pageant.
All right, Jeremy.
Beauty pageant.
And Payson.
Beauty pageant.
All correct. Question 3 comes in the category of horror. What is the specific profession? I'm sorry. wording a little bit. I'm going to reword that. What specific profession do Elliot and Beverly have in Dead Ringers?
So I want to talk more about Shaq. Remember, he had like a line of drinks that was created by Arizona.
Shaq
like,
tea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, legitimately good.
Tasted like diabetes.
Amazing. Bring it back.
Yeah. Oh
5,
my God. Got just
4,
chills in my blood. My blood
3,
was itchy every
2,
time.
1. Pens down.
All right. We'll go to David.
Plastic surgeons.
All right. And we will go to Jeremy.
Gynecologists.
All right. Payson.
Gynecologist.
And
What it
Boatman.
was.
Gynecologist.
Gynecologist is correct. Everyone but David getting the point. So that takes a 1-point lead for Judgment City. Going into question 4.
Your next question in the category of the 2000s. As revealed in Before Sunset, why did Celine not come back to Vienna?
Now, did you play Shaq Fu? That's the question.
See, I was a little too young for when that came out.
Okay. You didn't have a Sega Genesis?
Isn't that a book in the Bible?
We're
5. 4.
Question?
Who was that? I'm sorry.
That was Ginyu's.
Ginyu? Okay.
Yes. So your category again is the 2000s. In the question, as revealed in Before Sunset, why did Celine not come back to Vienna?
So back in the before times, we
Mhm.
used to have these things called consoles. We used to play video games on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like a
and,
Game Boy?
Just bigger and it plugged into your TV. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
sounds expensive. 5,
Yeah.
4, 3, 2, 1. Pens down.
All right. I believe we're up to Jeremy.
Grandmother died?
All right. And we will go to Payson.
She was getting married.
All right. And we will go to Boatman.
A family member died.
And we will go to David.
I should have said that. Her mother died.
I think we can accept judgment.
We will
but
take
not
both
David.
of
His
Judgment City.
grandmother died is correct.
Should have said that.
All right. So we get into your next question, which comes in the category of classics. Who directed Operation Petticoat? So you didn't have a Sega Genesis growing up?
I was born in 1991, Bill.
They were around. Just say Altered Beast was my shit.
I have no idea what that game is.
Oh my God, you turned into a werewolf and murdered people. It was great.
5, 4,
What were other animals?
3.
It was fun.
2, 1. Pens down.
All right. I believe we are up to Boatman.
Blake Edwards.
All right. And David.
George Cukor.
All right. Jeremy.
I also said George Cukor.
All right. And Payson.
But Fred Zinnemann.
Blake Edwards is correct. So only Bowman getting that one. All right.
Your next question. Perfect. It's going to come in the category of musical.
I planned this.
In what 70s musical does the lead character die and get buried at Arlington National Cemetery?
Sonic the Hedgehog was also a game that was fun.
Okay, I've played that.
Yeah. Hot take. Sonic 2, better than Sonic 1.
I'm assuming you're talking about the movies. 5,
Both movie and video game, yes.
3, 2, 1. Pens down.
All right, we will go to David.
Hair.
All right, and we will go to Jeremy.
I guess hair.
All right, Payson.
I guess Phantom of the Paradise.
And Boatman.
I also said hair.
Hair is the correct answer. All right. As we get into your next question, which is your penultimate question in the category of biopics, who plays the titular character in the Buddy Holly story?
You know who I think could have played this role?
Rivers Cuomo.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal could have also done this, yes.
I would have loved to
I like
see
that answer.
Your answer is way funnier than mine.
Both of ours are 5,
Yeah.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Be the perfect answer.
All right. We'll go to I don't remember where we are. We're gonna go to Payson.
Gary Busey.
All right, and Boatman.
Bill's answer made me very happy. Gary Busey.
There you go. All right, David.
Gary Busey.
All right, and Jeremy.
I think Shaq would be a great Big Bopper, but Gary Busey.
All correct. With that said, we'll get into your final question.
Let's see. I'm just double checking something.
Yes. If Boatman gets this right, he will get a perfect round. That's
Okay.
the only one remaining perfect.
So your final category in this round is romance, and the question is: Linda Fiorento, Bill
Fiorentino.
Pullman, Linda Fiorentino, Bill Pullman, and Peter Berg star in what 90s romance film? I don't read it the Italian.
Yeah, you know who could have read that? Shaq.
You know what? And it would have won a Pulitzer Prize.
I would
Somehow.
have also sounded like gibberish.
You know who else could have done it? Charles Barkley. 5.
Oh, I would have paid to see
4,
that. Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Pens down.
All right. We'll go to David.
Jade.
All right, and we'll go to Jeremy.
The Last Seduction.
All right, and Payson.
The Very Bad Things.
All right, and Boatman.
I got nothing.
Last Seduction is correct. So that brings us to the end of the round 1, as there are no perfect rounds, but I have Judgment up by a score of 14-8. Is that what you have, Bar?
That is what I have.
All right. And with that said, we'll get into round 2. Round 2 is the wheel round. Who has the wheel?
I have the wheel.
Cool. Let's bring that wheel in.
Got it.
Good stuff. So basically, the way it works like this: each team will be able to go and spin, and if they like what they get, they can keep it. If not, they can spin again. You will be stuck with whatever you get. What are the categories on the wheel? Can we scroll down a little bit so we can see that? Because I don't remember. All right. Done this before, I swear to God. So we have the categories of Oscars, pre-1990, directed by Robert Altman, sports, the English language, 70s, English language original screenplay, the 1970s, recent releases, pre-2010, composed by Trevor Rabin, Oscars, Fandom Disney animation, and the 1990s. Judgment City, you are in the lead. Would you like to spin first or defer?
What are you thinking, Jeremy?
Whatever you want to do. I know we usually defer.
Let's defer.
All right. So again, with that being said, this will be your first spin. You land on recent releases. Would you keep that or spin again?
I'm good with that.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
we're good.
I can keep that. Yep.
All right.
They're
Awesome.
Let's go.
All right. Bar, do you want to hit them with the questions in recent releases?
Yeah, why not? I can do that. Can you force? Are you ready for your first question in recent releases?
Let's go.
Yeah.
Excelente. Your first question: Who directed Where the Crawdads Sing?
Oh. It's not a name that.
Oh man, I think I saw this movie too.
I would need multiple.
Yeah, let's do multiple.
Multiple choice.
I need to do my multiple choice.
Your multiple choice options are A. Olivia Newman, B. Quinn Shepard, C. Jennifer Caitlin Robinson, or D. Helena Rain.
Lakers kind of popped in my head.
That was the first one that popped into my head, so I say we go with that.
Okay, go ahead.
C, final answer.
That is incorrect. Judgment City chance for the 1-point steal. Your options again are A. Olivia Newman, B. Quinn Shepard, C. Jennifer Caitlin Robinson, or D. Helena Rain.
Do any of those stick out to you, Jeremy?
I have a feeling, but I'm not that confident.
What's your feeling?
Maybe D.
Okay, I trust you. Let's go D.
We'll go D. Final answer.
That is also incorrect. We are looking for A. Olivia Newman.
Okay.
All right. Ginyu Force, your next question is: In Babylon, what specific type of vehicle does Manny steal in order to get the camera to the silent film set on time?
Is it like a hearse? Is it a taxi?
No, sorry,
You-
nothing's sticking out. Yeah.
Okay, I say we go
5,
multiple.
Yeah.
4.
Multiple choice.
Your multiple choice options are A. Police car, B. Motorcycle, C. Ambulance, D. Fire truck.
Do you have a
Thinking either Bucks or Pelicans.
I don't know why I was thinking Spurs, but I think you might have a better guess than I do.
5.
Want to repeat the options?
4.
Yeah, repeat the options.
Your options again are A, police car, B, motorcycle, C, ambulance, or D, fire truck.
Yeah, maybe Bucks.
Okay.
Out of the two you said.
Do you feel good with Spurs?
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing. I don't know why I'm
4.
picturing.
Okay, well, let's go with that. B, final answer.
That is incorrect. Chance for the 1 point steal.
Sorry, man.
Your options again are A, police car, B, motorcycle, C, ambulance, or D, fire truck.
Do you remember this, Jeremy?
Again, I have a feeling, but I'm not.
So I was thinking it's either A or C. I'm thinking ambulance, but I'm
That's
not.
where I'm leaning to. I need one of the two.
Let's go for it then. Ambulance, final answer.
That is correct for 1 point. All right, can you first your next question? In Blonde, Norma Jean begins dating the son of Charlie Chaplin and what other actor at the same time?
What other actor? Oh,
I have no idea. I've never
I would do
seen
multiple.
this.
Yeah. Multiple choice.
Your multiple choice options are A, Gary Cooper, B, Edward G. Robinson, C, Buster Keaton, or D, Charles Lawton.
I have no idea. So.
I think it's Sons.
Go ahead. I have no idea.
B, final answer.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time for me?
Robinson, final answer.
Okay. That is correct for 1 point. Your next question. Who plays Tara Milfax, the man who kills Liz Meekin, played by Taylor Swift in Amsterdam?
It's Timothy Oliphant.
Okay.
I'm going to take my time. Yep. Timothy Oliphant, final answer.
And that is correct for 2 points. And your final question. In Aftersun, Callum says he doesn't believe he'll live to what age?
40.
Okay. I do.
40, final answer.
And that is correct for 2 points.
All right. So after that, I do believe Ginyu cuts it in the lead a little bit with 13, but we do have Judgment City spin. So we will bring back in the wheel. You were at 15.
15. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Here is your spin.
Want to keep it?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, gentlemen, if you're ready, I will give you your first question in the category of Oscars. Who won Best Actress for films released in 1965?
That's Julie Christie.
Yep.
Darling. Julie Christie.
Yep.
Final answer.
That's correct for 2 points. All right, your next question. What film won Best Original Song for films released in 2004?
Oh, The Motorcycle Diaries.
Oh, yeah.
The Motorcycle Diaries. Final answer.
That's correct for 2 points. All right, your next question. What is the only Oscar 1998's What Dreams May Come won?
Best visual effects, right?
It has to be, right?
It's best visual effects.
Yeah.
It's one of the weird best visual effects winners. Best visual effects. Final answer.
That's great for 2 points. All right, your next question. Giant, Midnight Cowboy, and Reds all won what Oscar?
Okay. Best director. Warren Beatty, George Stevens, and John Schlesinger all won best director.
So seasons one for Giant? I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, Stevens won for Giant in 50.
Okay. Yep.
Best director. Final answer.
That is correct for 2 points. Wow. And your final question. How many Oscars did Dunkirk win?
Okay. I'm between 2.
4.
I'm gonna go
3,
multiple. Be safe.
2.
Let's use repeat. Repeat, please.
Repeat.
All right, I believe that is their first repeat. How many Oscars did Dunkirk win?
Do you remember what won cinematography that year?
I
Was
thought
it
it was
Shape of
this.
Water?
But I could be wrong.
5,
What?
Oh,
4,
You thought it was what?
3.
I thought it was this,
2.
but I could be wrong.
Oh, multiple choice.
Yeah.
All right, your multiple choice options are A2, B3, C4, or D5.
Okay. If you think that Dunkirk let's go 4.
Okay.
4, final answer.
That is incorrect. Giving you Force chance for a 1-point steal. Your options are A2, B3, B3, C4, or D5.
So I thought it was 2, but I don't see Jeremy and Boat missing 2 Oscars because 2049 won cinematography.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So do you want to go 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
5, 4,
Deduction is good.
Final answer.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that?
3.
3 is correct for a 1-point
job.
steal. The
Editing.
categories were sound editing, sound mixing, and editing.
Yeah.
All right. With that, at the end of round 2, I have Judgment City up 23 to Ginyu's 14. Is that what you have, Bart?
That is correct.
All right. We'll get into the next round 3, which is the deep cut round. Each team picked 2 movies. We will ask them a question randomly, a deep cut question on each of the 2 movies. So we'll go from there. With that being said, if you guys are ready, these are 1 point each because it's teams, correct? Yes. All right. With that being said, we'll ask you your first question in the film Any Given Sunday. And your question is, when Tony talks to Willie on the plane, Willie says he was listening to what musical artist? It's a batshit insane movie. All right.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pens down.
All right. We'll go to Payson
Trick Daddy.
and Boatman
Trick Daddy.
and David
Trick Daddy.
and Jeremy.
I can't believe it. Trick Daddy.
Trick Daddy is
Cannot
correct.
believe it.
Can't believe it.
All right.
All right. Your next question is going to come in the grand. Name 2 of the 3 failed casinos that Jack wanted to make.
This was a crazy cast movie. Like there was a lot of people in this. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Repeat.
Pens down.
Sorry,
You
I
got
got
it
it
in time. You got it in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, your question again is in the grand. Name 2 of the 3 failed casinos that Jack wanted to make.
I don't want to say anything about anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
4, 3, 2.
All right. Boatman.
The Reactor and Fire.
All right. And David.
Hector's Frozen Cart and the Reactor.
All right. Jeremy.
The Reactor and Hector's Frozen Cart.
And Payson.
The Reactor and Hector's Frozen Crater.
We can accept everybody but Payson's. I believe they were all free answers. So
It's okay, Payson.
All right. As we get into your next question, which comes in Popeye. The question is, what was the name of the boat that Popeye was on that capsized due to the typhoon off the coast of Guam?
Very quick.
Yeah, I think they might have watched this movie.
Good.
Yeah,
Good
I mean,
names.
good. Yeah,
I may have
that'd be
seen it 100
that'd be
times.
5,
that'd be bad if you picked a movie you didn't see
3,
for this.
2, 1. Pens down.
All right, we'll go to David.
Gloomy Gus.
Okay. And Jeremy.
The Gloomy Gus.
Payson.
The Glooming Gus. Holy shit.
And Boatman.
Gloomy Gus.
Gloomy Gus is correct.
Worries.
All right. As we will get into the last question on the worst film in this list. Go ahead.
How dare you?
I dare very much.
Oh my god.
And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, folks. According to Sadie, what is the only TV show that isn't about murder?
I'm sorry I hated this movie.
It's good. It's fine.
What's that?
That's fine. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you hate women, it's fine. This movie really does.
5,
Can't talking 2019 incoming. My
2,
God.
1. Pens down.
All right. We will go to Jeremy.
I Love Lucy.
And Payson.
I Love Lucy.
And Boatman.
Imagine if it was about murder.
All right. And David.
I Love Lucy.
I Love Lucy is correct. With that, at the end of round 3, I have Judgment City at 31 and Ginyu at 20. Is that what you have?
That
Bar?
is what I have.
All right. As we get into round 4, which is Revenge of the Wheel, we will bring back the wheel, and the team can give their opponents whatever category is left, except for their strength. So with that being said, Judgment City. Do you guys get to pick if you go first or second, I believe? Yeah.
I mean, every team lets the other team go first so that they can pick the thing. So you is going
They're
first.
playing from behind, so.
And Jeremy, we want to stick with the plan, give them classics.
Sounds good.
Classics, please, is what we will give them.
Okay. Bar, I believe I read their questions in round 2, so you want to read them their questions?
Yes. Let me find it. There it is. Okay. So, Ginyu Force, your first question in classics is: what classic film features performances by Tyrone Power, Helen Walker, Colleen Gray, and Joan Blondell?
Tyrone Power. Is that
I have no.
Nightmare Alley?
If that sounds the best to you, I have no clue. Sorry.
Nightmare Alley. Final answer.
And that is correct for 2 points.
Good job.
Your next question. What is the name of the newspaper Walter and Hildy write for in His Girl Friday?
Is it like the Evening Post?
Oh man.
The inverse of this question has been asked before, and I'm still mad.
Evening Gazette, Evening Post, Evening Bulletin. Is this something evening?
5,
I believe it's something
4,
evening. I want to go Evening
3.
Post.
Okay, go.
2.
Evening Post. Final answer.
That is incorrect. We are looking for the Morning Post.
Ooh.
Oh, that hurts.
Okay.
Okay, so your next question. Who directed Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice?
Oh, you know?
Oh god. No, I never even heard of this.
Oh wow. Okay.
Is it a comedy? What is it?
Yeah, it's a comedy.
5,
Arthur Miller, maybe.
4, 3,
I don't know.
2.
Arthur
Repeat.
Miller. Final answer.
That is incorrect. We are looking for Paul Mazursky.
Nope. Okay.
All right, can you force your next question? What is the profession of the titular character in Goodbye, Mr. Chips?
Is he a teacher? Teacher.
He's a teacher. He's a teacher. Yeah. This one I know. But they're asking about the character, right?
Teacher. Final answer.
Okay.
That is correct for
Okay, I
2
don't know if
points.
it's an actor or something. Okay, yeah.
And your final question. How did Frank and Georgie's son die in 1954's The Country Girl?
That sounds like a Western or something.
Yeah. It's the one Grace Kelly won her Oscar for.
Drowned.
Drowned. I like Drowned, honestly. A lot
Could
of
be an
people-
accident. It's not a murder or anything.
4.
Drowned. Final
Drowned.
answer.
That is incorrect. We were looking for Hit by a Car.
And with that said, Ginyu gets their score up to 24. And now it is Judgment City's turn. All right. Ginyu, you can pick from what is left of what you would like to give your opponents.
I say we give them sports.
Yep, that's the best route.
Sports. We'll give them sports.
Okay.
And what's the score? Sorry.
It is 31 to 24.
Okay.
All right. So Judgment City, if you're ready for your first question in the category of sports, and there will be no multiple choice. So,
Yep.
In Cobb, who plays the titular player Ty Cobb?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones. Final answer.
That is correct. 2 points. And I believe if they hit any one of these next questions, it will be over. Okay. Just making sure. All right. Your next question. What is the name of the robot Charlie buys before finding Adam in Real Steel?
No idea.
I know one of the robots is Jeremy.
Then let's
that,
go
but I don't
for
know
it.
if it's that one.
4.
Well,
Jeremy,
I-
final answer.
That is incorrect. We're for Noisy Boy.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Different
You're
robot.
Different robot. Your next question. What 60s sports movie features characters traveling to the Kentucky Derby?
60s.
Do you have any clue?
Man, nothing's coming to mind.
5. 4.
National Velvet maybe had a remake. National Velvet.
1.
Final answer.
That is incorrect. We're looking for The Hustler.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I
Oh.
totally forgot that was a plot.
Now I feel dumb.
All right. Your next question. In Caddyshack, Rodney Dangerfield's character takes an injury to what part of his body to get Denny to play for him in the final match?
Do you remember this?
Not really.
It's golfing, so either hand or foot.
5.
I don't remember him with a bandage on his hand, so you want to say foot?
3.
Sure.
2.
Foot. Final answer.
That is incorrect. We're looking for arm.
Okay.
Injury to his arm. All right. Your final question. From Invincible, Vince Papale plays his first regular season football game against which team? And we need the city and the team.
Okay. Who would the Eagles play in regular season? Do you know?
I had to study this movie for another match, but I'm not remembering.
All right. Do you want to use a repeat so we can give you time to kind of try to access that?
Maybe one repeat would be nice.
Okay.
5.
We have plenty.
4. 3. 2.
Repeat the question.
That is your third repeat. Yep. From Invincible, Vince Papale plays his first regular season football game against which team?
New York Giants is in that area.
That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know if it's right.
Let's go for it. And if we're wrong, we can try to make up in round 2. So, New York Giants, final answer.
Is incorrect. We're looking for the worst football team ever of the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas was in my head. Dang.
It was the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, dang it.
At
Was
the
in
end
my
of
head.
round 4, I have Judgment City still in the lead, 33 to Ginyu's 24. Is that what
Yes.
you have? All right. With that said, we will go into the final round, which is to pick your poison round. Each competitor will get to pick from a list of categories what they want for their 1, their 2, their 3, and their 4. And we will go until one team is mathematically eliminated. So we will let them pick, and we'll be right back. All right, everybody. Each team has selected their categories and their who is going to be taking them. So with that being said, Ginyu, since you are behind, I will be asking you your questions. You will take your 1-pointer in the category of rom-coms, which will go to you, David, if you are ready.
Mm-hmm.
Who plays Lars in Lars and the Real Girl?
Ryan Gosling.
That's correct for 1 point. All right. And we will go over to Payson for your 2-pointer in horror, if you're ready.
Yep.
Who directed 1992's Candyman?
Bernard Rose.
That is correct for.
Oh, no,
All right. We'll go to your 3-pointer, which you can confer on in the Coens if you are both ready.
Yep.
All right. Your 3-point question. What does Mr. Pocket refer to in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs?
What does Mr. Pocket?
Is that like the end, the last segment with the death, the carriage?
No, that's
Is that Liam Neeson?
No, that's All Gold Canyon. That's the like that people pan for River on.
So what is that?
Yes. Repeat the question. I just want to make sure I.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No problem. All right.
That is your final repeat.
No, they have.
I'm
two.
sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one.
No.
I'm just gonna shut up.
I got you though. I got it written down. It's good. What does Mr. Pocket refer to in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs?
It is a body of water where people pan for gold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
A body of water where people pan for gold. Final answer.
I believe we can take that part. No?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Because we just have gold.
Yeah. So they said a body of water where people pan for gold. So, and that's
the game.
So I unfortunately am
Well,
wrong.
Oh, do you want to make the ruling first? Yeah.
Yeah, make the ruling.
Okay. We were looking for gold. Gold would have been the acceptable answer since you added body of water to it. We will have to rule that as an incorrect answer. With that being said, and your winner and new team's champion, Judgment City.
And we would like to challenge.
There we go. We'll be right back. You just could have just said it before.
I don't know what the
go procedure. We play by the book.
Is that a challenge?
All right, we are back from the challenge, and after further review, we have determined that in the scene where he says Mr. Pocket, he is looking directly at a piece of gold. So since water was added onto the answer, we can't accept the full answer and have to rule it incorrect. So with that being said, and your winner and new team's champions, Judgment City, by technical knockout. With that being said, we will drop Judgment City to the back, and we will have our discussion with our unfortunate second place finishers. It's been a wild ride, you two. I mean, I've been there for a lot of it. You kicked my ass a fair amount. You kicked everyone's ass a fair amount. I know this day was rough on you, but how are you doing?
Can I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This is the worst game I think we've ever played, and I can wholeheartedly say that was on me. I didn't have a great round one. I thought it was really good in recent releases. We should have spun again. We would have done better in Oscars, and I dropped 2 deep cuts. You cannot drop 2 deep cut questions in a title match in general, or against a team like Judgment City. And at the end of the day, we missed our Cohen's question. I've been using that strength because I thought we had it down, but this loss is on my hands today, and I just want to say that. Yeah.
Round one was it was rough on both of us, and I wasn't much of a help in anything with the 2 or 4, and then it was just not a good day for us, but it's nobody's fault. I think it's just we had a great run going up to this point, and it was a good team, so we just gotta play. Next time we have a chance, we just gotta just tighten everything else and get play better next time.
Well, with that being said, I do believe you guys have defended how many times now?
3 times.
So I do believe that you do get that rematch if you want it. So that's something you have in your back pocket. I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
Whoever wins that tournament, have fun playing Judgment City, and whoever wins that match, get ready. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
All right.
Second that.
Thank you guys for everything. You are fantastic. As we bring in your new champions, Judgment City. How you doing, boys?
It's been almost 4 years since I've been in this spot in terms of teams.
I think 5 years for me, 4 or 5.
No, it's been 4 because it was
4. Yeah.
The 2019 teams tournament match, which was like in August. So a little under 4. But yeah, it's been a while. We did it, buddy. I'm really happy that we won this. Pace and David are like titans. They're like
incredible,
fantastic. I think it's fair to have a debate between Concept and Ginyu. I think Ginyu's the team personally, just based in
it's hard to argue, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We knew what we were up against today, and you know, I know these guys are beating themselves up right now, but it could happen to anybody. You know, we've all had those matches. They're giants, and it was an incredible honor to play them. And you know, I just think there was some luck on our side, but also we really wanted this, you know. And I think, you know, when you've been wanting it for so long, and you've got somebody that you're playing with that you just there's such chemistry and just such a connection as players, I think it just can happen. So I feel really good, you know. Without getting any details, you know, I also might be going for a singles title this year, but this is the one that really meant the most to me. This is the one that I used my chip from the free-for-all for, and that was for a reason, because I believed, and here we are. So I feel really good. Like getting all of those deep cuts questions was a new thing for me. So I you know, and I really tried, I really studied, but you just never know how those things are going to go. So it all feels good right now.
Yeah. Feels great. Great job again to Pace and David, but
absolutely,
I think I think Jeremy and I are just a killer team, and whoever comes next on the pipeline, I think you gotta be ready.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of which, I'm sure there are some people coming. There's a big tournament coming. Is there anybody you wouldn't mind looking at for your first defense team-wise?
I think the most interesting team coming into this tournament is Turbo Riders, Bill and Holtzman. I think that's like the most interesting team coming,
because we're like the Duke twins. It's just like
you're so similar. You know,
we're just completely opposite.
I can't tell you guys apart.
I think that's the most interesting team of this tournament. Obviously, there's beefs and things, so bullets would be interesting. But you know, whoever comes down the pipeline.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations once again. You were going to say something. Go right ahead.
I was just going to say Dylan's been having a really great year, and I have not played him, I don't think, in any capacity ever. That might be incorrect.
I've played him once, but not in this league. So yeah, that would be awesome.
I don't think I've ever played Dylan, so that would be really, really cool if that happened. But yeah.
All right. Cool. Judgment City calling out the world. All right. As you should when you win a match. So Bar, put a bow on it.
Yeah. So I think unfortunately Ginyu just had a bad day, and every team has them. But Judgment, not to take away from Judgment City, because they played crazy good today as well.
I believe lights out would be the term.
Yeah, they had like 30 something, or at least close to that.
33. They had 33. Yeah.
Very good score. Very good work there. We'll see Ginyu Force again at some point.
Absolutely. No, they're too good not to. So
absolutely. So
yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, I have been your host, Philadelphia. With me has been Andrew Barr on behalf of Cody, on behalf of Kaleb, on behalf of Jeremy, on behalf of Payson, on behalf of David. I'd like to wish you all a very good night. Thank you for watching, and Yeah, you know, like hit the button, Frank.
Goodbye. Later.
After you, Junior. We'll always have Paris.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
If it taken.
Bye-bye.